Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic night of Fandom Access. I am your ever faithful host, AJ. Greetings and salutations. The ladies are running a little short, a little late tonight. So as soon as they get here, we'll get started. We're gonna start with From at our new time for the next couple weeks because we can't stop talking about From for 5 minutes. So we are dedicating an entire hour to it, with or without an interview. So, as soon as the girls get here, we will begin. In the meantime, since I've got a couple minutes to babble by myself, um, not something we cover on the show, but if you have Apple TV, I highly recommend you check out Disclaimer. Really, really good. I blasted through all 5 episodes in about 2 days. Um, because I was very intrigued and I want to know more. I kept wanting more. So um yeah, good times. What else am I watching? I haven't started watching Hysteria yet, which I think we're gonna actually discuss in the show eventually. Um what else have I been watching? Um just the stuff on the show. It's gotta be something else. Um yeah, no, that's time. Yeah, I have time for the shows basically. No, I feel like that's wrong though. I feel like it's something else. Vox Machina season 3. Artie and I have been watching, which is really good. Sorry, I don't have any other suggestions for people, and I'm usually pretty good at talking to myself or by myself or whatever. If I had people in the chat, then at least I could have a conversation with somebody. But there isn't. So, um, but yeah, after From, we'll do Agatha, and the girls will do Daryl, and I feel like they have something else, um, but I don't remember what it was. Let me look. Sorry. Let's see. Teacup. They're gonna talk about Teacup, Daryl, and like I said, we'll talk about Agatha right after we're done with From, which so much fun stuff to talk about From. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. Um, I really feel like I'm dropping the ball here. Like there's something else I could be talking about. All right, so disclaimer. So it's I don't want to say it's straightforward, but it's pretty like there's mystery to it. But it's pretty basic. It takes a minute in the first episode to figure out who the players are, because the way they do it, there's I don't want to spoil anything because it was kind of fun trying to figure out the different things in the beginning on who the people were. Um, so I don't even know what to say that it's about without saying anything. Oh, I know. I saw Trap recently, the new M Night Shyamalan movie. It was pretty good. Speaking of straightforward, um, yeah, it was really good. That was straightforward, not your typical M Night Shyamalan movie with a twist. Um, it was pretty good. Um, Josh Hartnett continues his comeback tour. Um, and one of his daughters, whose name is blanking me right now, she co-stars in the movie. So yeah, that was good. What else have I seen lately? I finally saw Maxine. That was really good. Nice ending to the A24 trilogy that started with X and then Pearl. Saw the new Bad Boys movie, typical Bad Boys movie. Old Man is really good. Haven't gotten as far as Karen on that. I think I'm only on episode 3, but that's really intense. What else? Going on 6 minutes now. Thanks, ladies. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry for the dead air. I don't. I'm usually much better at this because you have a lot more to talk about. I talk football. Great football game last night. Monday Night Football, Steelers and Giants. Which, as anybody that's been listening to us for a long time know, I am a Giants and a Steelers fan. Both. Started out a Steelers fan. Wasn't the world we live in. Oh, thank God.
Sorry, it has not been a great week with our show, I guess. At least not with me screwing things up. How are you? Sorry about that.
Good.
I kind of forgot we were going earlier and screwed it up and then was rushing home to get in. So sorry about that. But so did you start yet, or what have you been talking about?
I've been babbling.
Okay. Well, there's Karen.
There we go. Now we get started.
We can all get started. All right. Well, before we start, I was just going to remind everybody, for the people who maybe missed it, that we do have Elizabeth Saunders, who plays Donna, coming on the 26th of next month at 9 p.m. Now that our time has changed, it's at 9 p.m. Eastern. So everybody can check that out. Make sure you join us. And also, I'm talking. Somebody has a dog.
Jamie, just for people who maybe aren't paying attention, she plays Donna on From.
Yes, as I said, sorry. Well, we're starting with From today. I guess I should have mentioned that, but that she's coming. And then also I'm talking to, I believe you pronounce it Pega. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it, but I'll be talking to her tomorrow if people want to send me questions via social media to ask her.
And she plays
Fatima.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's get started. Since I talked so much the other day when we did and also if you did join our live show the other day with me and Julie, it's greatly appreciated. We're going to probably do another one because I think Karen and AJ get enough from me on this show. But thank you if you did come. But why don't you start out, you guys, since I've talked about it at length, clearly.
Well, I'll start, Jamie, with what I said in your chat. Was that Sunday night? Last night? I thought it was good, but not great. This is which is not anything bad to say. This is just an episode that was sort of advancing some stories, moving some people around the chessboard. It wasn't like, the greatest, like, holy crap episode, but it was good. Every episode is good, right?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry.
AJ?
There's no such thing as a bad episode of From. I mean, it definitely, like you said, Karen, move stuff around, people around the chessboard. Definitely set up some things. Some things that have kind of been left unsaid got said in this episode, like with Randall mentioning that the three of them are not okay. I mean, we kind of knew that with Julie already, since all she's been doing is getting high. So there's definitely more to come from that. Victor's dad got to experience a little more of the insanity in this episode.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And then, as usual, there's like this one big kind of bomb in most episodes, and this one was Fatima's disappearing fetus.
Oh, that's a pretty good bomb. But I thought you were going to say that Tabby had visions like
Oh yeah,
Miranda.
yeah, that was a big. Her dream was a big. That was kind of the big ending, right? So yeah, good. I mean, they always leave us with a little. They always leave us with a cliffhanger. I mean, this is a crew that. So I know we always like mention Lost. I don't want to say it's like Lost, but I was reading an article recently about streaming and how people who used to produce weekly television, like 17, 22 episodes a season, kind of know how to write a story and where it should break every week, as opposed to like a lot of these streamers that are meant to be a 6-episode show that's meant to be watched as like a 6-hour movie, and sometimes the story doesn't break correctly. And I just feel like this writer's room and this group of producers really know how to break a story, so each episode has this ending that's like the act ends and we have a week, and like they just do such a good job of like composing the 1-hour episode, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah, they I mean, I think it's because it's all different times too. Like it used to be that there was a standard. Oh, am I echoing? Okay, I thought it was echoing. It used to be that there was a standard for how long too. So it wasn't even necessarily they had to like figure it out. It just that's what they had, and they had to make it fit as they filmed it,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all right. So I do, and we have I see we get a couple people joining us. Our first hour, just to remind people. Sorry, I was busy tweeting so people know what we're doing. Our first hour tonight from 9 to 10 is going to be From, and then we'll pick up the other shows after that. But to start out, so I think that as much as I do think the beginning of the episode was a little boring just because I really didn't need to see Tabitha and Jim arguing. I mean, we got some things in it, and it was nice to see her scream at him. But some of it was kind of like we've been saying the same thing she said. I feel like all season that he's not taking care of his kids, and so.
Did you think that was boring?
I don't want to say it was boring. Let me say, out of the whole episode, like it was my least favorite part. Their argument at the beginning. How's that? I wouldn't say it was boring. It just wasn't as exciting as the rest of the episode to me.
Okay.
Did you like that scene then?
I mean, fair enough, Jamie. It wasn't like exciting, but I think it's like showing us like their deterioration as a couple, or maybe they weren't. It's showing that they weren't really very strong when they got to Fromville, right? Maybe.
No, they were already having. They were still dealing with the death of Thomas. They weren't.
Yeah, and there's a lot of blaming each other, right?
Yeah,
blaming each other.
I did.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Jamie.
No, I was just going to say, I do love though that she's like, you're complaining you had to take care of the kids for a couple days, and because she had to for like a year when he was not, being a very good parent. She's been gone for a few days and he's complaining. And the truth is, he hasn't even taken care of them for those few days.
I get that, but he had to have the kids during a few days where they believed their mother was dead. Right?
That's true.
It's not like
it's not like it was a vacation or something. That's a good point. It wasn't an easy few days, but how many times has Ethan this season run out without him even knowing it? I think that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny, like, the next day, Julie says something about like, oh, you're screaming fight. And then Ethan remarks on it and Tabitha says, oh, I'm sorry you had to hear that. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys were like totally shouting at each other. Yeah, like, what do you mean? I'm sorry you had to hear, you made no effort to conceal your fight from your children, which is fine. I'm not saying they should, but then don't act like, oh, I'm sorry you had to hear that. You made no effort to conceal that. Again,
Julie's like, I'm so over this. And she walked, basically. I mean, she doesn't want to deal with it and she walks out. So, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't necessarily that it was a boring scene, just in relation to the rest of the episode. Maybe it wasn't as interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't give you, it's not a highlight of the episode, but we often complain when we don't get enough character development. So, true. It's there and it's a sign of how the town is wearing on them. And, I feel like they're a little bit of a, we got this scene of like Tabitha and Jim fighting. And we have scenes of the whole town fighting. Like, I feel like, are they a little microcosm for like what's happening? Like everyone is like kind of turning on each other.
That's true.
Well, Ethan actually had a really great line later when he said, "I kind of missed it how it was in the beginning. Everybody was too scared to fight."
Oh yeah, he does say that.
Yeah, he does. I mean, that's obviously a comment that only a kid would make because he does not thinking through. I don't think he wants to be running around, people dying, but I get it. Yeah, because they were getting along. They kind of didn't have a choice. There were much more important things. And I feel like there's still more important things, but you got to talk. But she's also still upset about what happened at the meeting too, and what, all the town said to her. So there's also that.
Yeah.
But it's funny when the monster screeches, like when they're screaming and then they quit and hear, they're like, "Shut up, Jim." That's what I think. But yeah. All right. Well, let's see. What do we got next? Okay. The next part is with, and this is one of the things I, as I said on Sunday, I think is to me something that makes a lot of sense is Jade's conversation with Boyd, even though Boyd is not excited as Jade is maybe. This is his, I have an idea with a scientific explanation scene, right? I mean, we've seen him before in the show, but he starts saying how it's maybe not a wormhole, the trees, but that it could be a dimensional rift and that the lighthouse occupies the same space as the town. And after watching this scene, this is where I started to think about it and think that there's a good, like what he's saying makes tons of sense to me because that's what happened to Dale. He ended up in the same space as the concrete, essentially. But, so it makes me think of like even back on X-Files on Dreamland. It's kind of like, I don't know, like they're shifting not quite in the right phase or something, and it's in the same location. And it's like if they don't get quite all the way there, they're going to get stuck in the middle of it.
I mean, that's a thing like that happens sometimes.
In a lot of things, yeah.
I mean, like on Star Trek, right? That there's sometimes we're like, we could beam ourselves right into the middle of that sun if we're not careful, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well, there's also, and I don't think we talked about this Sunday, but I've seen some people say some theories like that maybe the town's moving, and that, although that makes me think of Lost. But that maybe it's rotating or moving or something. So sometimes
who's saying that?
A different place. Who said it?
Who says that? I said that in the chat.
Okay, I'm sorry. Karen said that. Somebody said it. No, I've talked to so many people. I started to forget who says what. Sorry. But yeah, that could be too. I don't know. And I think we also discussed how Victor is very much an unreliable narrator because he says, "Oh, it'll take you to the lighthouse," but he never actually saw his mother. Like she never made it to the lighthouse. So how does he know that? I thought the boy in white had told him, but apparently he didn't. And I'm misremembering that, I've been told. So I don't know, but I don't think he actually knows. So
I don't think he ever said it'll take you to the lighthouse. He says that it was that his mother was going to the lighthouse and she believed it was going to take her to the lighthouse. He doesn't say, yes, this is definitely going to take you to the lighthouse. He's translating what his mother said
because his mother was killed that night by the monsters, right? And so
no, he found her dead by the tree.
Yeah, so we're
found her dead by the tree, right? He found her dead by the tree. That's right.
Yeah. I just remember Victor saying that the other trees go elsewhere and that one goes to the lighthouse, but I don't remember.
The boy in white pushed her out the lighthouse window, but she didn't end up in the real world. She ended up on the bottom of the tree.
Well, yeah.
Maybe he pushed her out the wrong window.
Well, she was ripped apart. So whether she died after the lighthouse and ended up back at the tree, I don't know. But I don't think she ever made it to the lighthouse. That's my understanding anyway.
You know what I think? I think eventually we're going to get a flashback episode of Miranda once we get closer to things.
Could be cool.
Could be.
Would be surprising though. We've gotten hardly any flashbacks. We got the one with Julie looking out the window, which really didn't give us a whole lot of anything. And I think, have we had any other flashbacks? I don't think we've had any.
Not a flashbacky show.
No, it's not.
We've had some stuff with Victor. That's about it.
Maybe. Now, let me ask you guys this, because I was reading something today on Facebook. Do you all know what the Mandela effect is?
Yeah.
I was going to say, you should remember from X-Files anyway. But for anybody who doesn't know, the Mandela effect is basically this idea that a lot of people remember something incorrectly, and they usually can't be convinced. Well, I've seen this post before, but they were discussing it earlier today on the From group, that all these people keep saying that there was a scene with Donna when her sister got killed. This did not happen on the show. And all these people were like, well, it was on the Amazon version or something. They cut it out. Apparently, then I saw somebody said that apparently Liz Saunders said it didn't happen. So I don't know why these people, if it's just like she described it so well, they remember it. I don't know. But,
No, we've never seen.
No,
that.
we haven't. We've heard about it, but we haven't.
So you're saying like all these people who are like, oh yeah, Victor's mother. We all think Victor's mother went to the lighthouse, but in fact, we don't know if she ever made it to the lighthouse, and Victor doesn't know if she ever made it to the lighthouse.
Yeah, that part I have no clue. I just was saying about the scene with Dawn. I know that they don't seem to believe it didn't happen, because they were arguing about it quite enthusiastically. So yeah. Let's see. Okay, so the next is about Henry with Victor. And Victor wants to go on his own to the caves, and Henry's like gonna go with him. I always like the scenes with the two of them. I like that Henry's kind of trying to make up for lost time, trying to be a father. He's like, I'm going with you. Basically, it's like, I'm going with you whether you like it or not, is kind of what he says. And I appreciate that. I like that.
I appreciate it, but every single person who goes down in those tunnels, Victor's like, we have to be quiet. And they're all like, blah, blah, blah. I'm scared.
Yeah, nobody knows how to listen to be quiet. That is very true.
Yeah, Tabitha was the same way.
Yeah, and I think Jade, when he went down, he was alone, but he also...
Jade had other problems. Jade kept seeing things around every corner, and his was more out of fear than anything. Yeah.
I mean, it was a good scene, and Henry insisted on going with Victor, and then he kept wanting to go back, and I get it. It's frightening. He had no idea he's only been in town for like 3 days, if that, right? Yeah. He had no idea what he's going to find down there. It's terrifying. He wants Victor to come back, but Victor really knows what he's doing down there, and
Victor knows a lot. We've said this before. Nobody listens to Victor. They need to listen to Victor.
Well, but they don't listen to him because he's essentially a child, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying he usually has the answers. I feel like a lot of times, and people just kind of don't.
Very few people appreciate Victor's. I mean, Ethan's one of the few people who appreciates Victor's vast knowledge and experience, right? Because a lot of people are like, they think Victor is mentally ill or stunted or whatever, and they discard him. But this was scary. I thought this was scary, it wasn't scary. Like I was like, oh my God, I got to turn off my TV. But this was scary and tense. And I mean, it seems the tunnels are well done. There's always there's always such a good sense of claustrophobia and like what's around the next corner. It's like going through a Halloween house of horrors every time they go down there.
Yeah, kind of. So do we want to go into details of the cave, or we want to wait till we get to that point?
Let's take the whole cave thing as a piece.
Okay, that works for me. So the first thing, I think it's funny that and I said this then, but that he takes those little soldiers, and I'm not sure that was helpful.
Why aren't they helpful? It's like breadcrumbs.
Because it's dark, and it could be, I guess, but it's pretty dark down there. I don't know that it would be.
He has a flashlight.
He has a flashlight. Fair enough.
Untrue.
Like he gets to it's about like when you get to a fork in the road, you shine the light on the ground and go, oh, there's my little guy. We go this way.
I guess it's what he is. It ideal? No. Is it what he had on short notice without really, being able to have time to make a plan or search around? Like, what would be better? Jade took a long string, right? When he went in there, was it Jade who had a long string? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was it Totally Rad that said that Sunday that they think part of it was maybe just for the idea of saying little green men to kind of shout out to people who think it's alien.
Totally Rad who said that. And I was thinking they're a child's toy and he's a child, and also like, I don't know, like soldiers, like I don't know, but I mean, it's kind of amazing to me that he's got all this stuff, but I guess decades and decades of people whose cars got stuck there.
Yeah.
Victor's the only child. Like, I don't know if there was any children between Victor and Ethan. I don't know, but presumably, oh no, there was that little girl that gets killed in like the first episode of the first season. I mean, I guess a lot of boys came in with other kids along the way, right?
Well, probably by the time they did, he was older, I would think, because I definitely got the idea that he spent a long time there by himself.
Well, obviously.
I think he spent many years by himself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Which is a mystery I'd like to learn more about. Like, why did the town not call any people for that long time?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I know I had asked him about how he survived in that one interview if people want to see it, but I'm not sure it answers any big mysteries of why, but obviously the boy in white did help him. But at some point he must have done things on his own too, because I don't think, well, maybe the boy in white can touch things. So I was going to say the boy in white can't interact with him, but that's not true, because if he can push Tabitha in the White House, he clearly can. Because I kind of always wondered, like, who actually ended up moving the bodies, because I don't think they just laid there and decomposed, or there'd be bones everywhere. So if Victor didn't move them, then something did, somebody or something.
I mean, yeah,
the monsters could have taken them into the woods and ate them.
Yes, the monsters
could have been that too.
And I assume Victor ate like a lot of canned, like whatever was in the diner. There maybe was canned food and stuff,
and
right?
The peaches. Yeah, he probably ate whatever was there. I mean, if you think about things like that, was there really enough food to survive for 40 years that he would have known how to, like, farm things and that? Probably not. But that's not something that, I mean, that's something you just kind of gotta,
roll with it. Yeah.
But you know what though? I mean, but think about it. We don't know how much food they had to begin with, stocked up, and he's by himself. He's one person, as if he even eats 3 meals a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. He's a little
I mean, yeah, it's a long time, but
yeah,
there could have been. I mean,
if the town can make electricity somehow, could it just make the food not run out?
Maybe. I've commented this before. I kind of think sometimes the town provides them with things, because I remember towards the very beginning, they said something like the animals walked out of the forest or something to that effect.
You've mentioned
and
that.
I always wondered, like, why were these animals that, like cows and stuff in the wood? It just seems kind of weird.
You need to go back and like Google or rewatch, because you have mentioned that now like 3 weeks in a row.
No, I said I've mentioned it before, but that's why I said I just think that the town gives us stuff.
That piece interests you, clearly.
Fletcher is back. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. He's saying hey from the Fromely.
It's Fletcher the Cromonacle. Hi.
Yeah. Yep. He was at our show last week. Okay, let's see. Tran says the food situation isn't really realistic if there's 78 people being fed. They do need a lot more crops. And that's why I said something like that. You kind of, I think, can't pick apart too much.
Kind of like how did Hurley not lose any weight in 3 months on the island with mangoes, exactly. Right? Like one of those. Yeah.
He lost weight. He told us.
He did. Yes, he did. Yeah, Terrence, he did tell us that. But Terrence, right. If there's 78 people there or however many people, and the food, it's not realistic. But it's a thing we gotta just roll with, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So they're in these tunnels. Why they're in these tunnels, right?
Yeah, looking for Jasper.
Oh my God, this creepy little creep!
No.
Look how freaking creepy that thing is, you guys.
He's dressed nicely. First, though, AJ, what do you think about the fact that this stuff was not in the same place? Do you think Victor was wrong, or do you think it was moved?
Oh, I think it was moved. Victor definitely knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's kind of
there's been some discussion about this. Why was it moved? Like, why are the monsters moving the stuff? Is it because they don't want anyone to take it, or because they're just messing with Victor, like, or they just want to redecorate their apartment? Like,
well, that's an interesting question, because, Victor, because Victor's dad Henry says, why do they take stuff? And Victor's like, I have no idea. They just do. So
yeah. I don't know. Fletcher says it's Jasper's tea party. It is like a creepy, got creepy Alice in Wonderland vibes, kind of.
Yeah, there's
yeah.
you see that comment from Taryn in the chat.
Oh, sorry, I missed that one. Curious what you thought of the Tea Party clues. There are really only a few things it can link to. I'm not sure what exactly he's referring to. I mean, other than, like I said, it reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, but I don't think that's what he's referring to.
I mean, there is like Alice in Wonderland, Down the Rabbit Hole, the Tea Party with the Mad Hatter and all that. You could probably I have not looked into similarities between that and From, but that's probably there.
Wonderland stuff. I know people were saying, though, during the show that perhaps the tea, I think it was Tilly that gave her the tea. They were saying that maybe she aborted the baby with the tea. I don't know if maybe that's what he's referring to, because that was just like a theory somebody had. But
when Tilly was making a cup of tea for Fandom last week. I mean, there's just also the part where it's another childish, like, if you believe that Victor created this place and that it's the theories that this is the creation of a child's mind, then a tea party is maybe another childlike children's activity that's happening, maybe.
Even if it's not Victor, even if it's, something else, it is definitely a childlike. So either way, it's creepy the way it's set up.
I mean, one thing that's that I really thought about is so Victor's sister ran out of the room of the hiding place and was never seen again. Was she fat? Did Victor find her dead, or was she missing? I haven't really considered whether his sister could be implicated in this at all.
I think he believes she's dead, but I don't know. I'm not 100% on that.
I think yes, I think she believes.
I mean, he definitely believes she's dead, but I guess I should say I'm not sure if he.
Yeah, I don't remember if he ever mentioned if he found her body or not.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Remember. I'm just saying. I guess I thought of it because like at the time Victor was a child, maybe little girls would have been encouraged to have tea parties and little boys not. Yeah. But you certainly wouldn't have a tea party with your creepy ass old man dummy here.
Mm-hmm. Well, if a girl didn't have dolls, I mean, it's still a doll, even if it's a creepy doll.
Yeah. But as far as the monsters moving this stuff around and why they're setting this stuff up like this, and someone's putting little flowers in a vase on the table, right? Like, is a monster going out and picking a flower to put in there? Like, what is going on with the?
Well, that's the thing. We don't even, other than seeing them when the monsters attack, we don't know
what they're doing,
what their goals are, what their motivations are. We don't really know anything about them. So maybe they like to have tea parties.
Or just creep around down there like that, right?
Mary says that Victor said he found his mother's body, but not Eloise. He just told Sarah that she was dead. So that could be an assumption then, which is what I think it probably is. I mean, if she ran outside where the monsters are, she's how old? It's not like she could necessarily. Yeah. I mean, she could hide, but if she ran after her mother,
if his sister is still somehow alive, where the hell's she been for the last 50 years?
Well, do you remember that I was working up a theory that, based on Victor's age and Eloise's little sister, could she have been pushed through, and could she be someone who's among the players in the show? But I don't really think so. Tabitha's too young, Donna's too old to be Eloise, right? Who could really be Eloise? Nobody in Fromville really is the right age to be Eloise.
Yeah, I don't think probably not. So he finds a scarf. We mentioned that. Now,
we didn't mention that.
Oh, I thought we did. I thought that's what AJ was getting at before. Okay, he finds his wife's scarf. Why did they take it? We don't know. But they take things. I mean, maybe it's just as simple as serial killers take things. They want.
Yeah.
Could be, any number of things, but we don't have an answer to that.
I mean, it could be a meaningful clue, or it could just have been there to give Henry a freak out and to show Henry being what's going on, and Victor being we don't know, stop, right?
Yeah.
It could be just a little bit of a thing for Henry to kind of That's what I'm banking on right now. That the scarf is not meaningful in its own right. It's just a Henry like, what the hell moment.
Yeah. Now, what about the monster? Tells, Victor, if you keep doing this, we might not let you leave. I mean, she's clearly taunting him, but it is, if you think about it, it is kind of strange they've let them go down and come out, unless maybe they can't, I don't know, who knows? Maybe they can't actually attack them during the day. We've never seen anybody get attacked during the day, although I wouldn't see why not.
But also Jade got out and Tabitha got out. Like,
yeah.
Victor's not the only person they've let out of that tunnel.
That's true. But she knew, she let him out. She didn't just not see him. She clearly purposely let him out. But yeah, it could just be to screw him over to make him, freak out.
All those Ankui kids let Tabitha out, right? Like, and like nobody's gotten out of there without being spotted by someone or something.
Yeah,
right?
but the Ankui kids, they're not. They're not trying to hurt Tabitha though.
Well, we think she thinks.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said we think.
I mean, there do
wanted her to see whatever they wanted her to see too.
There do seem to be two types of monsters down there, and one is this sentient, articulate, human-looking type of monster that can be down there, and the other are the more ghoulish, like and Ankui-ish kind of monsters that are down there, right? Like there was that guy sleeping in the chair was definitely a different kind of monster than this lady is, right?
See, I thought that was just them when they changed their face to slash people. I didn't think it was a different type of monster because we saw them when they came outside before, like it was the old woman and then she went and turned into that. So I kind of assumed it's the same.
Well, do you think the Ankuis are the same and they can change?
No, the Ankuis may not be. I think she's the same as that guy that was in the corner. I meant. Sorry.
I think I'm really coming around. Not coming around. I am in on the theory that the monsters can't touch certain people.
Yeah, well, that's like I said, what I said 2 weeks ago, because it just seems like they keep letting Boyd go, and I'm starting to wonder if, they're told not to by somebody.
Yeah, something.
But yeah, you know what it is? I know what it is. The people with it's like the monsters are smoky, and there's certain people that are on the town's list, and you can't kill them.
Yeah, I mean, if
the town is Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in on the theory similar to Lost that certain people are like they were brought there for a reason because they're important.
Hot armor.
And like Tabitha was brought there, and unfortunately, Jim and her kids are along for the ride. And and other people were brought there, and Boyd was brought there. Poor Ellis is along for the ride. And that the monsters are not allowed. That's why they keep trying to break Boyd because they can't just outright kill him.
Right.
Could be.
Yeah, no, I'm down with that.
Taran, I think he's talking about the scarf. He's saying blanket clues. I had not heard this. I guess it's a different theory about the Nalukatak. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Inuit blanket toss. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard of that before, but that was a scarf. So I'm not sure if maybe this was about something else.
I don't know, but I think the blanket toss might refer to like flipping people and catching them up in the air on a blanket, like tossing people on a blanket.
Oh, okay, maybe.
I think that might mean. Taryn does have a point that there are celebrations being referenced on the show. Kenny did mention the high holidays. He was writing that letter to his mother, what you do on the high holidays, and I mean, that's an interesting. Are those not Easter eggs, but little just aside things to sort of get us to go down this hole, or I don't know, but
are they clues for something else?
This lady is super creepy. Like one thing that's so creepy about these monsters is that they're always smiling when they talk to you, right? They're like, Victor, if you go, we might give you. Boy,
like that movie smile. They have that creepy smile.
We get to keep Randall. Like they're always like grinning and smiling in this like, creepy ass way. That is it intended to freak out, or is it like they don't really know how to approximate a human facial?
That's a good point. They could be emulating humans. I definitely think that makes sense. And Taryn's saying that he thinks a series of celebrations take place in the origin story created from land. Yeah, I think it would be really cool to see. and we're probably not going to get it for a long time, but see about how this town became this town. But I feel like that's one of the answers that probably, if we get, it's going to be like at the end of the whole show, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all going to depend on how long it keeps getting, renewed.
Yeah.
To when we get.
I mean, that's interesting because depending on what celebrations they are, like Kenny talked about the high holidays as a time that you write a letter to your dead loved ones. Like, I got to pay more attention to what holidays are referenced, and are they holidays that you recognize people you've lost, or are they days of atonement, or like what kind of holidays? They're not referencing like Christmas and Halloween on this, right?
Yeah,
like what holidays are being referenced? That's an interesting whole thread to go down.
Yeah.
With the holidays. Right. Taryn, write a blog so we can like all understand it better.
The pancake and pea clues are to Cornish Nick and Nan night.
Oh yeah, Taryn's gone down Yule and Yule logs. Oh man, he's
gone down the rabbit hole with some of these.
Reading on this. Nice.
Yeah.
They're always making pancakes for breakfast in the Matthews household. I can't believe how much pancake batter is in that diner.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, before it was always Tian Chen, but now they're making him his pancakes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's some little things that aren't really important to the story, like Kenny not wanting to, not important to the mystery we need to talk about, like Kenny not wanting to talk, finding out there's an ultrasound. It's kind of little things like that.
That's not little, that's huge.
Well,
ultrasound is huge. I mean, finding out that there's an ultrasound, not the scene with the ultrasound, but I mean, when Christy tells him there's an ultrasound. I was skipping through to the bigger scene, which the next scene is about Ellis trying to convince Fatima to use it. Because Boyd finally comes in and tells them, lets them go through their whole conversation before telling them. But, Ellis wants, Fatima and the baby to be safe, and she's afraid of what it could mean and doesn't want to get the ultrasound, which I get. Now, the one thing I want to mention.
Ellis is right. When your wife is eating dead rutabagas because she can't keep any food down, we don't know if she confessed about licking the blood, right?
About the blood,
We did not see that confession.
Yeah, because I actually asked people on Twitter. I didn't know people were so like for and against it. I got so many responses. Some people think she told him. Other people think they didn't, or she didn't. So that's kind of
until it's mentioned, she didn't tell him. As far as I'm concerned,
You think she didn't tell him? I agree. I think she didn't tell him because of the storytelling and acting value of holding that and having Ellis find out later and be horrified.
Yeah, that's not an off-screen conversation.
I agree. If that's a conversation, that's a conversation that shouldn't happen off screen. So they go down, they have the ultrasound.
Well, before that, we have Elgin.
Oh my God, please don't. Can we not go out of order? Can we just talk about each character's arc in one?
Yeah, we don't have to go through everything scene by scene.
Through everything.
For me, it's a little easier that way. I know you like to follow a recap so we don't forget stuff, but for me, it's easier to follow each character as a.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm with Karen.
Okay, so they go to the Christie's.
Yeah, they go down there. They get the ultrasound. So I Googled a little, not extensively, but I think it's not unusual for an ambulance to have an ultrasound. It's not maybe common that every ambulance will, but some ambulances do have a portable ultrasound like that. I liked the part where, as an aside, AJ, I like the part where Marielle says, "Oh my God, that ambulance was totally stocked. This is going to be great." And I appreciated that she said that. I mean, I understand that it's a little bit of a plot device for it to come in that way, but I appreciate that little bit of explanation for the next 3 weeks when she needs like morphine or stitches or later or something, right?
Yeah.
So what you guys think of that scene? Jamie knows this fits into a theory I have because we talked about it.
Yeah. So why don't you tell what your theory is about the baby?
Well, you two know. Jamie and AJ, that I've been talking week after week, that my theory that like stuff you stay out loud happens. Like Dale said, I'll be poolside. He winds up inside the pool. And Kenny said, I'd hate for your kids to lose a second parent. And then Kenny loses a second parent, right? I keep saying that stuff. If you say it out loud, it comes true. So when Ellis is trying to convince Fatima to have the ultrasound, she says, no, I don't want to see it. And then they go down and get the ultrasound, and well, they didn't see it.
And you don't see it. Yep.
So, I mean, I know not everybody is down with my theory, but I feel like week after week,
I feel like Karen, I think your theory is pretty sound considering shit keeps happening.
So let me ask you: do you think that means she's not pregnant, or just that we can't see it?
That we can't see it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's undetermined. She also was only like 6 weeks pregnant, right?
Yeah.
They should maybe be able to see something very, very small.
He said it'd be the size of an acorn, so they expected to see something. They didn't.
I mean, isn't it possible that people have ultrasounds and I've never had one. AJ, you have a couple of kids. Did you ever see an ultrasound of your kid? And it's hard to see what you're looking at until they tell you, right?
Not with today's technology.
No. Pretty easy to see that little acorn in there.
Yeah.
So she had a positive pregnancy test, which yes, those can be false.
Yeah, that can be.
The question here is: the town fucking with her? I'm sorry, is the town messing with her, making her think she's pregnant, or is the town messing with her, making her think she's not pregnant?
Or is it something else and not a human? Who knows? I see Taryn saying it could be a normal baby and a changeling evil twin baby.
Yeah. To answer your question, Taryn, yes.
What? Sorry, is she pregnant? Yes.
Is she pregnant? She's not pregnant. AJ says yes.
I would say yes, but a lot of people still think she's turning into creature. I mean, I never really thought that, but I mean, I know that's kind of a popular theory.
I think she's not turning into a creature. I think it's the baby that craved. I thought it was a baby that craved the blood, not her.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But since we don't know whether this is right or wrong, so
yeah.
As Taryn says, changeling baby. A changeling is a really kind of specific baby horror story. Remember we watched that show, The Changeling, on Apple? That was, know, that baby was so scary. The baby was the scariest part of it. And so maybe what the town is doing is just, she says, I don't want to see it, so she doesn't see it. It's taken very literally. That baby's still in there, but they just couldn't see it because of her. What's going to happen in 4 weeks? This theory is going to go to hell. I'm going to be like, I spent so many weeks insisting on my theory. But
I was going to say, I think in a while you're going to know whether she's pregnant or not. Probably one way or the other.
Well, she'll either develop a larger baby, either there will be either she'll start getting a bump, or she'll miscarry, or eventually that ultrasound will show a baby or something, or just nothing will happen. I mean, it could be false pregnancies are a real thing also, but
and they talked about the hysterical pregnancy and how she could be, we talk about manifesting, but where people do really manifest symptoms and things. And
there are those situations where a person is pregnant and their husband gets morning sickness, or their sister gets morning sickness, or whatever, right? I don't think though, but I don't feel like Fatima never expressed a desire. I don't remember her expressing a desire to have a baby until she turned up pregnant. And she says she was always told her whole life she couldn't become pregnant. Right.
Which is why she's
person that would be having a sympathetic, these fake.
Yeah. Well, I don't know though. I mean, your body can do screwy things sometimes,
especially in Fromville.
You think you're sick and you can become sick, type of thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Taryn's saying that if we don't see a baby of some kind, they leave red herrings because her necklace is like Rosemary's Baby's necklace. I don't know. I mean, I've noticed her necklace, but I didn't know that it looked like Rosemary's Baby's necklace. So I guess I missed that clue.
And so Taryn's comment about a demonic baby. And I think, you might be referring to like demonic or just like a monster baby. I don't know that. I don't know what these monsters are. And I don't know if I would. I don't want to parse the word demonic because I don't want to maybe go down there right now. Are the monsters demons? Are they whatever? Are they, but I mean, Taryn has if we don't see a baby of some kind, then they leave red herring. Like, so if we don't see eventually a baby or
don't get a definitive answer at any rate.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where that. I mean, it was. So I did not see it coming at all. I mean, not until she said I don't want to see it. Like I'm lately like every single person who says anything. I'm like, it's not gonna come true. It's not gonna come true. I'm very, So I want to point to Taryn's point about Ira Levin is probably what the clue really points to. To be fair, yes, Ira Levin was the producer of Rosemary's Baby, and it could just be like a little shout out, call out to a great a person in the horror pantheon, right?
That's true. Yeah.
It
doesn't
could
necessarily have to mean it's a demon baby.
These two producers are people that shout out to a lot of different people in their shows. And it could be that. But I'm kind of liking, so originally, you guys, I wasn't that into a story about somebody being pregnant in the town. I felt like, I mean, yes, that's another. Somebody's dog is barking. That's another difficult thing to throw at the Frumvillians, Frumites, Frumily. It would be difficult and terrible, but I was like, oh, she's pregnant. Really? Are they going there? But like the pregnancy has taken a really interesting turn in the last couple of weeks with her cravings and with this baby not showing up on I do appreciate that they're doing something with it other than just like, she's pregnant. What are we going to do?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, either she's not pregnant or the town's making her nuts or it's not human. Those are kind of the three, Or it could just be not showing. I guess there is that possibility. They just can't see it and maybe it'll show back up later.
She's only like 6 weeks pregnant. She's not very far along.
No, she's not that far along.
And there are women who show early and there are some women who don't show until they're very, very far along in their pregnancy. So
that's a good point.
We're guessing how far along she's based on what people say on the show and stuff, right? But for her to not see it, and then for Marielle and what about Marielle and Christy immediately being like, sorry, you're not pregnant. Like there was no
bedside manner.
Yeah.
Well, there was nothing there to say, so they didn't know what to say. But no, and it was kind of a little abrupt. I would agree with that.
And there was no sympathy, like Marielle, who's a pediatric nurse, she never says like, oh, I mean, she'd have a positive pregnancy test, and they're not like, oh, sorry, you must have lost it. We're so sorry. Or they're just like,
no, I could have questioned they didn't say that was a possibility.
It was AJ's right. It was the worst bedside. These two have the worst bedside manner ever. There's like, sorry, you're not pregnant. What? You told her she was pregnant. She had a pregnancy test. You've been monitoring her. Now you're like, whoops, sorry. I mean, that is, I think, really traumatic for them to treat her that way.
Yeah.
And not be like, oh, let's wait and take another ultrasound tomorrow, or let's give you a blood test, or just like, let's be sad that you miscarried, or like nothing. They're just like, sorry, you were wrong. What?
Yeah. All right. So what about, now that we've finished her, what about Elgin? We don't want to forget, because that is an important part. His picture with the kimono woman in the background.
Well, we said it last week that we knew that Polaroid was going to come into play more than just them having fun. Which I had a feeling when he took the picture of Fatima, I had a feeling that there was going to be something more. Like I was almost expecting whatever's going on with Fatima to be in the picture. I wasn't expecting his Asian lady, but that makes perfect sense though. And then she pops up and she's all like, "Help me and I'll save everybody."
Yeah. Which, what do you think about that? I think it's more like a Sarah situation. I don't trust her. I think we all agreed that on Sunday we don't trust her. But what do you think?
Well, it depends on what she wants help with.
So there's no picture of Kimono Lady in the press dump, so I don't have a picture of her. I I think it's important that she really looks like a corpse, right?
Yeah.
Whereas other monsters, when they speak to people, they mostly turn human looking when they speak to Victor or to whoever, right? Or when they're out walking around, like, let us in, you know, they're really human looking, and Elgin's lady looks like a corpse. And she doesn't look so she's a little different, I feel like, maybe than some of the monsters. I think you shouldn't trust her. Like, help me and I'll send everybody home seems like a little too easy, right? Like, we all don't trust her, but I feel, do you guys think she's different than other? Although Elgin,
Who knows?
His visions are always scary. His visions are never like a human looking monster, right? His visions are always...
either way, we've never seen whatever she is other than through Elgin. So what that means.
She also and with the kimono and also, I mean, I don't know all the people who've been lost in Frumville and what they look like and where they've been there, but she has a very distinctive outfit that she's wearing, which is not the average road tripper, which doesn't mean that a traditional Japanese lady couldn't have been on the road and got there, but she's a standout monster for sure. We had a long talk. You had a talk, Jamie, in your deep dive on Sunday about Elgin, and you said, was it you who don't really trust him, or was it Julie? Some people don't trust Elgin and think he's not a good force in the community and something's up with him. I feel Elgin is a good, inherently good person and a force for good in the town.
Yeah, I think the idea is that Victor said something like he didn't trust him, and I don't remember whether it was Julie or oh God, I'm so bad at this at remembering people's names. Julie or Totally Rod. I don't remember which one of them said it, but we're saying about Victor not trusting Elgin, so maybe he wasn't trustworthy. I don't know. I mean, I always thought that Elgin was I thought he was a good person. I think he's a good person. Now, whether this thing is, that he's seeing, I don't trust her.
I mean, I don't really think anybody in the town is a bad person, though.
That's true.
But to me, I keep going back to the fact that Elgin had a vision before they saw the tree. He had a bad dream and he vomited on the bus before they got to the tree.
Yeah. So it's not just Tabitha and Miranda either, because everybody keeps mentioning, Tabitha had a dream like Miranda, but so did he, at least a little bit before they got there.
AJ, where are you on Elgin?
I haven't really given him. I mean, I think he's a good guy. I don't think, I don't think he's not what he appears. I mean, he's very withdrawn. I mean, the only time he's actually shows any type of real life is when he's hanging out with Julie. Everybody else, he's kind of like, he'll talk to people and everything, but he's always very withdrawn.
He's quiet.
Yeah.
I think he's like sensitive, like I was going to say force sensitive. This is not Star Wars.
Not the wrong show.
But I feel like he's sensitive to the supernatural stuff around. Like, is he a medium? No, but he has a sensitivity that maybe not everybody, that Victor has, that maybe like not everybody has. I think there's a reason why Kimono Lady's talking to him and not to like everybody, right? Yeah. And I think he's got I don't know what his sensitivity is or where it's coming from, but I think there's something about him.
Unless they just want to corrupt the nice people. I mean, there is that possibility.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Elgin's on a slow burn, and he's going to maybe, hopefully, to me, I hope he'll become more important. I mean, he's another person that we complain, like, Elgin's having these visions and he doesn't tell anyone, partly because he's afraid, because people will think you're crazy or won't listen to you. But if the people, not everybody sees these visions. Jade sees them, Tabitha sees them, Elgin sees them, right?
Yeah, he did tell Julie, though, before didn't he tell her about his bathtub vision?
I think he told her the bathtub, yeah. We need like a powwow of the people who see visions.
Yep, definitely.
The problem is not everybody always tells each other, and it's like, because they don't want to be that crazy person, because not everybody knows that other people like Jade and Tabitha, yeah, they've talked to each other about stuff because they know that they're both experiencing stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's only like Boyd hasn't told anybody that he talks to Father Khatri.
Yeah, I think Jade needs to go back to town and be like, hey, so we're both having visions. Anybody else?
Well, I also feel like Colony House is not the place to talk about it. For all their like progressive pot smoking communal living ways up there, they appear a little more judgmental. And the people down in town, like the people down in town are more like, what the hell is going on here? Did you see that shit last night? Oh my God. Like those people are a little more, right? Colony House, I feel like they're in a little bit of a bubble of denial up there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, it's 10 o'clock. So for people who are just joining us, we are running a little late on our From discussion. We'll probably be maybe 10
Which is
minutes.
why we start at 9 now.
Yes, I know, which is why we started at 9. We thought we'd be done by 10, but this is From.
So well, we have two more big
we're almost done. We don't have too much.
Two more story points to talk about. We could maybe move a little quickly. I don't know which one you want to take first, Jamie. Can we take the easy one? Can we take the easy one? Which is, do you see the picture that I named Scarface? Can we talk about Scarface?
Oh, Randall.
Yeah.
He has a permanent frown.
To go with his personality.
Exactly.
Randall.
Yeah. Karen makes a good point. In a town where you put people in a box, so you wouldn't want to tell people you're hearing things. Maybe that's a good point. I think I'd be scared too.
Karen's absolutely right there. Yeah, you don't want to talk about how like monsters are talking to you because Sarah ended up killing someone.
Yeah, that's a good point. They might do something to you. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's nice that somebody's talking to him, but he treats her like crap until she's like, "Oh, hey, you can come live here," and then he's nice to her.
I agree with you, but he's traumatized.
Yes, he is.
Well, yeah.
And nobody seemed. It's kind of like after he got yelled at by Donna, nobody wanted anything to do with him. To be fair, it's not like he became a nice person or apologized to people, but since then he's kind of been just nobody will really talk to him very much. I mean, we get Julie talks to him in this episode a little bit. They go smoke pot, we're assuming, but
she
in
does.
general.
I mean, I appreciate how he might feel right now with like literally the monsters was like, you have the keys or Randall. He's like, take Randall. And Boyd takes the key. Like Randall must really feel very resentful.
Yeah.
And very angry. He also is mutilated and has to deal with the part that he's mutilated for the rest of his life, right?
Yeah.
And he's
if they ever get out, they have wonderful plastic surgeons.
Yeah, well, that's going to be.
Yeah, maybe he'll say, I got this scar, and it'll manifest, and the next person there will be a plastic.
Hey, you never know.
You never know, right?
That is going to be one difficult scar. I mean, it was a terrible, gory wound, and Marielle is not a plastic surgeon or any surgeon at all, but that is one like hell of a wound and a stitch job. And I assume if Randall lives, that he will bear this humongous scar for the rest of the show, which is kind of awesome because every time Boyd looks at him, he has to see that and remember that, right?
Well, half his face was kind of ripped off, so I mean,
but it takes an interesting turn when he's like, I don't want to go live in that bus, and Marielle's like, oh well, then just come live here, right?
Yeah.
And here he's moving out of the bus. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, I think it's a good move. I think it brings. I think one part of it that makes it good is I think we're gonna get many more conversations between him and Marielle about what they're still dealing with. I think Julie might visit more often. I think we're gonna see the three of them having a little powwow at some point to discuss what's going on. I mean, Julie flat out says the only thing that keeps it quiet is smoking a lot of weed. And he's like, got any more?
Yeah.
Well, Randall's the one that we've outright seen, though, continues to see these cicadas. We don't really know about Marielle. We know that Julie can't quiet the screaming, but that's about the extent.
Well, it might not be the same thing for all of them, you know?
No, it might not be. I'm just saying, like, we don't really know about Marielle. He's the one that we've seen it. So,
well, I think it's good for storytelling also. Like, also, yes, I agree with you. Learning more about what they went through in their coma and all that is going to be great. But like Randall, the outcast in the bus, is interesting only for like it's better storytelling to move him into a position back into the town. And okay, maybe being attached will make him a better. I don't know what kind of roommate he's going to be for Marielle and Christy, but I think moving this character into a different situation is going to be great for the story. And we'll see where his development goes. And yeah, and getting him out of that bus is, I mean, how much more can we get from him in the bus, right?
yeah. Yeah. I also think I've said before, I think they need that talisman to put in one of the cars so they can drive around and have something for when they're in their vehicle.
Yeah.
They need to keep it there. And Taran saying, I did not know this. The woman who plays Marielle is a trained ballerina. So that is interesting. That's an interesting little connection there.
Who's we got a ballerina?
Yeah.
All right,
so
let's move through the tree, the Jade and the tree situation.
And I'll say that the same thing I said on Sunday night is what I think about it is this scene that's interesting is that Jade is all like, Tabitha's seeing this is important because she's seeing it has to be important, but he sort of waves off his own visions as maybe not as important as Tabitha's. And I asked David Alpay about that because I really wanted to know why, because I thought
David Alpay
who plays Jade. I asked him about that in the interview, which is on our YouTube page, and people can see what he said. But I don't know. To me, I just thought that was a little odd because he's constantly like ignoring what he sees, and he puts so much belief in when she sees the Nkui kids and everything else. So,
I mean, there's a part though, Jamie, that I feel like Dead Tom is very much like Father Khatri. That does he represent more of Jade's inner monologue, right? Or his conscience, and he's a non like I don't know, AJ.
Is he a manifestation? We don't know.
No, they're all manifestations.
Is he a manifestation of the town or his mind? Is what
are they all? You think they're all manifestations? All the monsters are manifestations, also?
No. The vision when we see things that aren't there any like there and then not there, like Tom, Father Khatri, the Nkui kids, they're all
the town.
Yeah, they're like we had this conversation last week that they're manifestations, not hallucinations. I think I agree. I think Tom is in the same boat as Father Khatri. What that means, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I just thought it was kind of interesting. I mean, to be fair, Jade probably is a little drunk though, so but yeah.
Not a little drunk, but Tom says you should try ayahuasca, right? Like Tom encourages him to try, but Tom also, I forget exactly what he says, but he basically is telling Jade, like, you used to be a badass problem solver and now you're a whiner, and can you like get your head out of your ass and solve this thing, right?
That kind of. Speaking of, we did miss one thing. This is the second bottle tree. He didn't know about the other bottle tree because the other storyline going on is with the numbers and everything, which we.
Oh yeah, this was one of those things where he's like, wait, what? There are 2 bottle trees? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it only took us 2 seasons for Boyd to tell somebody about the bottle tree.
Yeah.
but same numbers in both bottle trees, just in different orders. Some of them are cursive and backwards, but I mean, they're essentially the same numbers, is that part of it.
So what do you think about this whole like master puzzler team?
I think it's good. I mean, I think Jade will figure it out, but
I think Ethan will figure it out because that's how it always goes.
Yep.
But that's a good thing because Ethan needs something to do so that he's not annoying me.
Well,
he was good 2 weeks in a row. Ethan did not piss me off, so that's a good sign.
Oh, sorry, I lost my picture there. I think Ethan is going to figure it out. I mean, so Jade has got all this. He's got these papers, those little pieces of paper on the table. He's got this map with the tree.
You erased something. Do you notice that? I don't know if that's important, but I noticed that there's like writing underneath that tree that looks erased.
Well, and then he's got this, which is like he's got all these little pieces of paper he moves around there and whatever. And he's really, I mean, I appreciate that Jade is onto something, but in the end, I think that it's, he's, I mean, basically he allows Ethan to participate only because Tabitha's like, he needs something to do. And can we please like get him involved? But I really think that he's gonna solve it, or he's gonna maybe not solve it, but Ethan's gonna come with a breakthrough.
Up with something.
Yeah. Wait, because you know what? Because Jade is all right. Listen, Jade is the smartest person in any room. Okay. Yeah. However, Ethan is gonna figure it out simply because Jade is getting very.
Sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees.
That's kind of right. Jade is so far into it, and Jade is too smart for the problem, and I think Ethan. Look at it. Isn't not having that type of knowledge? I think he's going to see something very simple and be like, "Hey, what about this?" And then Jade's going to be like, "Oh my god!" And then that type of thing.
Ethan already said, like, "Look, this number is backwards," and yeah, and Jade was like,
"Well, it's something."
I actually was confused by like Ethan's like, "Oh, these are written," and Jade goes, "Yeah, these are written in cursive," and I was like, "Wait." Numbers can't be written cursive.
That was exactly what I said.
I wondered about that myself.
But apparently, which I didn't remember, the one that Boyd found was written out like longhand in words, and that's what he meant. So
it's written out like instead of 11, it says ELE.
Yeah, exactly. Because that was my first thought. How the hell can a number be cursive?
I think Ethan is going to have a breakthrough. I also think like. There's a part of this that has to be solved by a child. Like, I just feel like Victor's childishness and the Ankui children and like Ethan being a child and I haven't discounted the Chromonocle, the whole first 2 seasons where it was all like being told through this storybook that he was reading. I just feel like Ethan is going to have a role in solving this.
Yeah. I think the biggest question, at least my biggest question with the numbers, is if the numbers has to do with where you go or when you go or something. Like, does it have to do with the tree traveling or does it have absolutely nothing to do with that?
Like, are they dates? Are they coordinates? Yeah. Are they that kind of thing?
Something. I think that's kind of the big.
And we can't get a good look at them in this.
No, you can't. Somebody went and took a ton of screen captures and actually wrote them all out as best they could. Yeah. That if people look, I'm sure you can find it. Yeah. That was on the Facebook group. So yeah. So Tabitha.
Quickly, let's finish this out. Move on to our next thing.
Tabitha's seeing the Nkui kids again in her house. I don't know that's necessarily a new thing.
No, I think them being in the house is huge. They've never been in the house before, right?
No, they haven't. But yeah, I'm not sure that there's a big discussion, I guess is what I should say on it. They're in the house, which is weird. That's my my notes on it.
Yeah. I mean, them coming to the house is weird. And they're all like, and I thought Ethan was going to see them.
Yeah, I did. Too.
You didn't? No, AJ, no. You didn't?
No.
I think it's the way they filmed it. It made it feel like
I think it's because nobody has ever seen anything that somebody else has seen. Like they always seem to go away before when somebody else appears.
You're right. No one's ever seen what someone else has seen, pretty much. Yeah. I think them being in the house is a major like advancement or step in their relationship with Tabitha. Although, I mean, they're not in the house, they're a vision, so there's that, right? Yeah. And that was like a moment that, I don't have a photo of this from the there's no press photo dump of the final moment, but this only escalates in the end when Tabitha like has a dream, right? And she realizes that she's
directed at the board. Now, she realizes she's dreamed about the place before, and we'll get into that. But this is a different, as he calls them, wards. That's what I'm calling them now because we never knew what to call them.
Because Jade calls them wards. I was calling them mannequins. Jade calls them wards, which a ward is means like a guard.
Protective, yeah.
Guardian, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So not only is it different, which is interesting, or at least we haven't seen it. It looks like there must be at least 4 that we've seen.
Different. What do you mean it's different? This is not the exact same.
It's not the same ward. The head's different.
Really?
But the other
wait, hang on, Jim. You know that because obsessive internet people compared them all?
Yeah, I went through and I looked at all the press pictures and the ones that they showed in the other, unless I missed it. And if I'm wrong, somebody please tell me I'm wrong. But as far as I know, and it seemed like everybody kind of came to the same conclusion on Sunday that it's different, this one. Now, the other interesting thing I saw is that its eyes appear closed. I think that's even more interesting, maybe because it's a dream. I don't know. So I just thought that was weird. But I do not think that they've seen that head before at all. I do not think they've shown it.
You looked through all the press pictures, and this was not the same one we saw in previous episodes.
Right. There's like 4 other ones that we've seen that are not that one.
That we've seen in the press photos.
And yes, in the press photos for the other episodes that have been released. This one is a completely new one. And from what Julie and I keep wanting to call her Scarlett. Totally Rad said, they seem to come to the same conclusion. I think you might have left at this point, but they thought it was different too. So I mean, whether it matters, I don't know, but.
No, I mean, Tabitha's dream occurred when she was a child. So it's revealed that Tabitha says, like, I had this recurring dream as a child that I never thought about it, but I saw these things and I saw 3 red rocks. She's like, oh, Jade. She's like, who? Jade? Did you see 3 red rocks? Who is she? I forget where it all goes.
She sees Jade's drawings of these things.
Oh, the drawings,
Oh, I've seen them. And then she remembers the dream. Yeah. And the 3 red rocks. The other thing is, okay, this is where we know now, we can assume anyway, because people don't seem to agree with this, but not everybody does, but it's a different actor's playing her than Eloise. She's not Eloise. I think we all agree she's not Eloise, but
she's too young to be Eloise.
Yeah, well, some people still think she's Eloise for some reason, but she's not Eloise. It's a different actress. But also, her clothes are not modern clothes, which is a little odd.
She looks like Red Riding Hood a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that, like, it could be clothes that if this happened, and that's a big if. This is a dream. We don't know if it actually happened or something similar happened, or maybe it's not even her she's seeing. Who knows? It's possible that girl got clothes from someplace else, in the town because they share clothes, but still, they're very old looking. They don't look modern.
So I disagree with you there.
I disagree too.
I think it was what we saw was Tabitha's memory of her dream. And in a dream,
yes.
or anything,
that's a good point. Things don't always make sense.
People have dreams where you go to work naked, where you fall out of a plane, where you wear rando clothes. Like, it was a memory. So it's 2 degrees of wrong. First of all, it's a dream, and in a dream, anything can happen. And in a memory, you know how you wake up, you have a dream, and it gets away from you all during the day? I mean, I remember my recurring child, they're almost gone from me. So I think maybe she remembered wearing a flowy kind of dress and some sort of, like, I take nothing from the clothes she had in that scene. I'm sorry. For me,
me either.
For me, it's talk about an unreliable narrator. For her to talk about a memory of a dream, I just don't think that anything we actually, and I think maybe then that this particular ward that she saw, I don't know if we could say that it's different.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting though, because she recognized the wards that were in Jade's drawings, and then we see a different one. It seems strange, not necessarily that she remembers the dream that way, but that the writers are choosing to show us a different one after she said this is what they look like.
I think it's surprising that anybody would expect it to be the same, honestly. When you ask people, like every cop show, when they say, like, who assaulted you? Can you talk to our person and draw a picture? They're always kind of off. Like, who could? I just don't think that we should make the drawings and the memory be exact. Yeah.
All right. And Mary's saying, whoops, I clicked on the wrong thing. Mary is saying, which is sort of what I was saying. We don't know for sure it's herself in the dream. There's no way to absolutely know that either. I mean, we're assuming that from what she says. She thinks it's her.
Well, Mary's right. That could be a vision, and
You could be having a dream about somebody else, or
all she said is it's a dream I had when I was a kid. She never said that it's a dream of myself as a, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're right.
Like, yeah, there are dreams when you know it's you, and there are dreams when you know it's not you, right?
Yeah, and there are dreams when somebody else represents you. I remember somebody, I don't remember where I got it from, but somebody, it might have even been in my class that had some about dreams, said that even when you dream about other people, though, a lot of times that they're like that part of you, not necessarily somebody else. Like if you dream about your mother, it's like the mothering part of you it represents. So even if it is somebody else, could still represent her.
I feel like this dream maybe is meant to show that Tabitha was predestined to go there.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I take it to mean that she's like Miranda. For whatever reason, these two women have seen from Ville before they got there.
Yeah.
Yep, and I already thought Tabitha was predestined to be there. I didn't maybe really need this dream to convince me, but maybe other people did. So,
yeah,
it kind of cements it.
Yeah. So, all right. Is that everything we saw in this episode? I love talking about.
I think we covered.
Yeah, we covered. Let me look. I think we covered the most important thing. So there were a couple little things.
We got it all.
Right.
Oh, one final thing. Donna's rock memorial.
Oh, Donna, man.
Yeah, with Dale.
So
nobody helped her. Why does nobody help her? That's the other question.
Because Dale was a jerk who everyone hated. Maybe that's why.
I know, but it's just kind of funny.
It was also I feel like it was something she wanted to do by herself.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, true.
I mean, also I think people might be afraid to go near it or grossed out.
Yeah.
Am I the only person?
We see people standing off in the distance, just kind of staring.
So, am I the only person who thought of Edgar Allan Poe when I saw this? I was like, "Oh, the Cask of Amontillado." When like in that story, he walls the guy up. Of course, the guy's alive when he gets walled in there, and drugged. But I was like, "Oh, is she gonna wall him in? Is he gonna be a lot, or is it just a?" I guess I'm the only one.
Yeah.
But I also, it was interesting because. There were the whole dialogue, which was not that long. People are like, "Oh, I'm sorry about Dale." She's like, "Yeah, he was a giant pain in my ass for 2 years, but he wasn't that bad." Like, there was a lot of acknowledgement that he was a jerk and a pain in the ass, but also her friend.
Right.
Also, any person you lose is a loss, and it's sad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just another thing for Donna, man. I just can't wait. Look, I love Donna and I want her to be strong, but I feel like there's a real big break coming for Donna, and I'll hate it, but I kind of can't wait to see it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Agree. Well, on that note,
on to Agatha.
Let's move our show.
Joined us for From. We appreciate it. Thank you for coming, and don't forget on November 26th, Donna herself, Elizabeth Saunders, will be here live, and we will ask her your questions live. So make sure you tune in. And if you missed any of our From discussion, you can always go back and restream this later. But for now, we're going to move on to other shows. So thank you if you joined us for From. But now we will move on to, we're going to do Agatha.
Yes.
All right, Agatha All Along. This was episode. Is it episode 5?
No, we're further than that. I think it's episode 7.
All right, it's the second to last episode, right? It's the penultimate episode, I think. Yeah.
No, it's if it was we get 9 episodes. There's 9 episodes.
This is
7.
I
think this was 7.
7 of 9. Okay, so I kind of like. So I kind of like this episode. I also kind of was like, "What the hell is going on in this episode?" There was a lot to like. How did you guys feel about it?
I thought it was a pretty cool episode. I liked it, and we found out. I'm so how awful I am with names. I don't have my thing up yet. That they weren't dead.
Lilia
and what's her face? That they weren't dead. I'm getting my list up, so I don't sound stupid. which I know
Lilia and Jennifer were not yet.
Yeah, Lilia and Jennifer.
Lilia and
Lilia.
And Jen were still alive. I mean, Alice doesn't come back. Alice, I guess, is still dead, but Alice was dead already, right? It was
Alice might actually be dead.
Yeah, it's more the idea that Billy, I keep wanting to call him Teen, that he threw them underground.
Yeah, Lilia and Jen got thrown in the tar pit, and also Agatha got thrown in the tar pit, but she came out earlier. But the three of them are alive, right? So, yeah, so they came out. So I liked that. I mean, there was some stuff going on that I was like, wait, what? But in general, I liked it. I liked the whole sort of Wizard of Oz thing that was going on. That was a lot of fun. And it was kind of overdue.
It was a mishmash.
I always like when this show plays with archetypes of witches and they rebel against them. Like, oh, I feel so like they call right out when they feel stereotyped or miscast as witches, and they're like, this is so culturally insulting. And I love this whole sort of like they all were like Wizard of Oz, right? Like Agatha was the Wicked Witch of the West, and Lily was Glinda, and there's not a picture of Teen, but he was Maleficent, right?
Yeah, he was Maleficent, and Jen was Grimhild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're like the press dump is always very small for Disney, in here, but it puts these guys back on the road to the
Witches Road. So.
Yeah, there's not a great picture, but we see in this picture the tarot table, which is the center of it.
Which is why we needed Lilia, obviously.
I mean, this was her mystery, right? Like I thought every witch had a challenge, and this was her trial, right?
Yeah.
I'm very sorry that I had to chop this picture to fit it here because the press pic has like her whole dress, and she's got this real gorgeous pink Glinda the Good Witch kind of thing going on here.
Yeah. It's a pretty dress. So the interesting thing, I mean, the whole idea of this is she finally, I guess, understands everything, while they do the tarot. She starts having flashes of you see her memories that have been out of order, and it finally explains why she's said certain things she said and done certain things she's done, throughout the season.
I don't know. How'd you guys like this? How'd you guys like that whole? Let me ask AJ first. The idea that Lilia has always experienced her life, her timeline is out of time. She's a person out of time, basically.
She experiences it out of order. I have no problem with it. I thought it was pretty great way they did it. And they really did their homework on it because they did it and it made sense. I've seen these types of things where it's done poorly and doesn't make sense, and all her stuff made sense. I mean, it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of like River Song and Doctor Who, meeting each other in reverse order. Doesn't always happen in order. But no, I mean, I thought they did a really great job with her whole thing, and I'm sorry to see her go. But I thought the whole episode was done really, really well.
I mean,
but she also saved him too. I mean, we lost her, but she killed the other witches that were after them.
She took out the seven.
She killed the Salem Seven. She went in a great way. I'm sorry that I had to. This picture, when it appears on the Disney put a very wide shot on the press dump, and our platform won't take it, so I had to cut this down. But when it showed her, she's hanging. I love when Lilia turns the card upside down, and the room turns upside down, and she's hanging. And this is actually a huge wide shot of her hanging. And I love when all those swords come down and it just played back so well to the beginning of the episode where Agatha and Billy had been playing, and the swords are coming down. Yeah, I like that part. I didn't think I loved the part where Lilia's life was out of order because it was a little bit all over the place. I'm like, is this a gimmick? Is this a stupid gimmick? But then it all sort of came together in the final third of the episode for me.
Yeah.
I don't think we got a huge. It was Patty LuPone's episode. We didn't get a huge advancement in the Billy. Am I Billy or am I William? Like, what is that? We didn't get a big advancement in his storyline.
Yeah. I think the main advancement is that they forgave him. I mean, I think that's an important thing, but not necessarily plot wise exactly. But I mean,
well, and there's one other huge thing, right?
Huge.
This is huge. This part was huge, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I really got that. Rio is death. Like, they turn over the card, but I'm not sure how that all was. I not paying attention? That's possible. Yes.
Like the representation of
AJ, give it to me, AJ.
She is literally, and you know what? And actually, kind of, if you go back, it actually makes sense. I was floored with it because death in the comics has never had anything to do with supernatural. It's always been more cosmic with death. I mean, she's literally the embodiment of death, you know? Like, everybody always thinks, oh, death's bad, you know, but death is neither good nor bad. Death is there to take people who have died and, you know, transition them to the next stage. Death in the comics, to give you a little backstory, has a love affair, two separate love affairs at one point, one with Thanos, which is why in the comics is why Thanos does the snap and blips half the population as a gift to death. But she also has a much more of a whirlwind romance with Deadpool because Deadpool dies a lot. Even though he keeps regenerating, coming back for periods of time, he does hang out with Death, and they fell in love.
Okay.
So to see Death in this aspect, that they caught me off guard because I did not see that coming at all. I knew Rio had to be somebody more prominent than just, you know, Agatha's ex. But now knowing that she's Death, it makes more sense why she showed up at Agatha's and what Agatha says to her. She's like, "You're not taking me yet." You know, that now makes more sense because she's like, "I'm not dying today, so you're not taking me."
But Rio has always been presented as Agatha's like ex, and maybe they're still in love, and even there's a point where Billy's like, "What?" and Agatha says, "What? I'm attracted to the bad boys." She says, "The bad boys," So is it that Death has tried to take Agatha and she defied Death, or do they literally have a love affair? Or was the love affair a thing that Rio was using to try to take Agatha? Like, was it ever real? I don't know. Like the whole beginning of this series was a part where Agatha was caught in a spell, right?
Right.
Like, I don't really.
But they in the beginning, Rio was there because now that Agatha was not under the spell anymore, it was like her GPS got turned back on, so Rio could locate her because Rio knew her time was short because the Seven were coming for her. So she was basically there to collect her when that happened, but it didn't go that way.
Seven would kill her. Death would take her. Yeah.
So the thing is, you know, again, you know, this is the world of whatever. In the comics, Death was never seen by anybody except for people that died.
Okay.
So for her to be an embodiment in the real world, that's very different.
Yeah, because I mean, I definitely took it that they had a relationship.
They couldn't. I mean, it's very possible. I mean, Death, like I just said, Death has had a relationship with Thanos and with Deadpool, and you know,
she's been around the block. Huh?
I gotta say though, I mean, I couldn't think of a better person to cast as Death than Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
Great casting for that.
That was,
I'll tell you what though, that whole scene though, when they revealed that she was dead, like I was like, as soon as I saw the car, I was like, son of a bitch. I was, because people have actually, I saw online there were some people that were theorizing that she was dead.
Oh,
And I'm
really?
like, yeah. And I was like, no. I was like, because for me and most comic fans, it doesn't make any sense because she's, the way they did it here. But it works. I'm fine with it.
All right. It was the big part. So that was the biggest part of the show. I mean, as much as I enjoyed the rest of it, this was the big reveal. And this is the part, if we feel that this show, and we do feel this show is moving towards the next Marvel thing, whatever it is, that's a big
Yeah, this is a one and done, right? I mean, it's not.
We think so.
Yes, but it as far as I know, it's one and done. But I mean, the end result of the show could have implications and other things later down the road.
Yeah.
Like
Marvel Avengers and all that.
Billy will probably get recruited by Miss Marvel into the Young Avengers. As far as anything else, who knows where it plays and leads into. I mean,
one and done is never. It's one and done, but it's not in isolation of the rest of the universe.
Right. I was gonna say, I love the scene when Billy's like, "Is Wanda Maximoff really dead?" And and Agatha's like, "Yes, no, I don't know." she's like, "Maybe."
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, she's not dead because today or yesterday they announced that WandaVision's renewed for a second season, right?
Huh? It is?
Isn't WandaVision right? Didn't I see that?
If you did,
look it up.
Right now, I'm Googling WandaVision. Didn't it?
Not official. Not only Wanda. Oh wait, hold on.
I know there's going to be a Vision series.
Vision. It's Vision.
Yeah, there's a Vision series.
Are you sure there's not another WandaVision, or it's just Vision?
Another WandaVision wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, because what I'm reading says there's definitely not another WandaVision.
All right. So whatever. I'm sorry.
It was probably Vision because they are still doing the Vision show. So we can finally find out what happened after White Vision took off.
So I guess maybe what I've been reading is that Vision picks up right after Agatha All Along, or follows up somehow on Agatha All Along.
Well, it could pick up right after WandaVision because White Vision takes off and we never see what happens with him. So it could literally pick up from that moment.
Yeah, and Billy
she could also come back. I see something that says first trailer and shows Scarlet Witch, but that doesn't mean she's in it. I mean, that's kind of.
All right. Sorry. Misinformation. I'll shut up. All right.
Fake news.
Sorry. All right. So we've got a couple more shows to talk about. 2 more shows at least. So I know, AJ, you don't watch either of these shows, but we'll try to, if you want to leave, you can, or we'll try to bang them out.
Take your time. I'll just mute.
All right, Jamie, let's talk about Daryl Dixon.
Okay, which episode number is this?
Jamie, I don't really. I think it's 205. 205. Yeah, 206 will be the last one, so this was 205.
Okay, I just don't want to.
So this is the episode, which is the aftermath of the fight at the fortress, and Daryl's escape. It's the episode where Daryl and Carol get back to the nest, or the new nest, or whatever, and they're trying to find LaRon, and should we get away? And then they got to also go find Ash, and they get to the plane, and Ash is missing, and they got to find him also.
Okay. Yeah. I remember liking this episode, but I'm trying to remember exactly what.
This was a pretty decent episode, I thought. Not decent, pretty good episode. I mean, this show is, of course, generally better. I thought it was a pretty solid episode where so Daryl and Carol get back to the nest. Carol has got to, a big part of this is where Carol has to go to Ash and be like, oh, I guess I got to tell Ash that I'm not coming back with Sophia because she's been dead for 12 years. And there's actually this guy, Daryl, and now I got this extra kid, and she's like got to tell him this whole thing. But before they can even get there, they go to the nest.
And Lasang gets there, right?
Yeah, and Losang gets there. So this is where they lost me a little bit, with Losang being the leader of like an assault team.
Yeah, that they combined forces. I still don't quite. It still doesn't quite work for me that he's working with.
It doesn't work for me that they joined forces, and it really didn't work for me that they would send Losang out as the guy to lead the assault team, because while he did do some training, you know, he was like this peaceful guy until like 2 episodes ago. And yes, he could be violent and angry, but he never was like a skilled field leader. He was always like a back home. He was always a faith leader and a strategist and whatever. And for him to suddenly show up and be like, here I am with all my guys, and we're invading the nest and we're going to shoot everyone. I'm like, wait, Losang is heading, like, why wasn't Sabine hitting that? Like, right? Like, last week he joined forces with Sabine, who's a far more violent military leader.
Yeah, Sabine is Janae's right hand, right?
Janae's right hand, right? I think I have a picture. Okay. Yeah. She's Sabine. She was Janae's right hand. Last week was like, oh, Losang, let's join forces and like get the kid and take control, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have maybe made more sense if it was her. I agree, or even that other woman, more of the one that was with Losang.
Jacinta was with him in this, and she gets killed, right? I think, but everybody gets killed. But for Losang to be the leader of this military force to come and like seize Laurent just made no sense to me. Although the whole idea that they're gonna come and like grab Laurent, like at this point, our faith tells us that this kid, but like, why would Laurent go with them? Like, they're totally gonna like.
I don't know, unless they plan to like threaten the people we cared about. That's the only thing I can.
We're gonna take him by force and force him to be their figurehead. And in what way is that any kind of like?
Yeah, how is that going to prove their point? If they have to force him, then he doesn't have the faith anymore. So how does that prove he's the savior or whatever? It doesn't make sense.
I think one of the best parts of this episode, I think it's Felu. I'm not sure, but I think it's Felu who says like, the whole, you know, Losang's like, oh, we got to take Laurent and have somebody bite him to prove that he's the savior. And I think it's Felu who's like, well, the whole point of faith is that if you have to prove it, if you have to prove it, then it's not faith, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember if it's him that says it, but I do remember that. Yeah.
I think it's him. And I think he said, I don't remember the exact words, but he's basically like, the whole point of faith is that it doesn't need proof. And if you're trying to prove it, then you don't have faith.
You've already lost. Yeah.
I like this episode. I thought it went on a little long. I also am not sure, like, so Cadron is there, right? Cadron shows up at the nest. He's like on this sort of redemption arc where he's like, oh, let me help save Laurent, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he's protecting him.
I don't love that. I didn't need that, I think, is what Jamie. I just feel like I don't need Cadron to be redeemed. Like, why are we spending time on him having a change of heart and now he's gonna save? Like, couldn't that whole thing have just been Felu taking?
Yeah. Although I kind of question though you saying that what you just said though about that Felu said though, maybe it's kind of the point that Laurent is somebody that people have faith in and believe in. Like, him seeing all this kind of changed him. I mean, that's the way I would look at it. Did we need it? No, but it's showing that, you know, that they're still good, I guess.
So I like what you're saying. Like, his redemption is not important.
It's more about Laurent.
It's not his own storyline. It's Laurent's storyline. Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it anyway.
Oh, I like that, Jamie. I think you might have just like converted me from thinking this guy is like, why are we spending time on him? Because it's Laurent is inspiring him.
Yeah.
Laurent refuses to leave in this episode. What do you think about that?
I was surprised because the whole time I really thought that he was all down with leaving with Daryl. I mean, I kind of understand it, I guess, a little bit more now, but yeah, I don't know. All along he thought he was going to, and now he's like, I can't leave everybody. And maybe that's also back to the same thing of he's meant to be a leader too. I mean,
Yeah.
if he's not there, he can't inspire people. So
I don't think that we ever saw him say, I want to leave. It was always Daryl, right?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
Daryl and Isabel who were like, let's leave, let's take him, let's do it, right? Like,
yeah. Well, now that Isabel's not there, it probably makes a big difference too.
And he says he wants to stay home because, like, I get it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess they're trying to show the kid maturing into his role and he could be a leader. And yet he seemed like a little boy again. There are no photos in the press dump from the Demimonde, but because that's too big a spoiler. But they go back to the Demimonde, right? Like,
yeah,
like he gets kidnapped. Like I guess is it Cadrone who takes Cadrone? There's a fight at the even before the nest.
And he
right?
like hides them and kind of runs with them.
And Cadrone takes him to the Demimonde, which Jamie, I'd forgotten about it. Had you forgotten about it? I forgot the Demimonde even happened.
No, I remembered it from last time. I think just because I think that's a cool set. I always enjoyed when they went to that.
Yes.
So it was nice to see it again. But yeah, I mean, he's protecting him. So
I guess when I saw it, I remembered it, but I had put it out of my mind. It seems like so long ago and such a different
season,
right?
Was a while ago.
I forgot that place even existed. And when it came back, I was like, oh my God, that's that nightclub that Isabel's old boyfriend ran. Oh my God, right? And then I did feel like, I'm like, are they really singing Lady Marmalade? It felt a little like, I'm like, could you have been a little more creative with your nightclub scene? But whatever. And that, now that there's that woman who's in charge of it now who we finally
Laurent, but helped Laurent later before, because at first she had kind of screwed him over, and then
back when
he was in love with his father, and
because back when Isabel's boyfriend was running it, she was the number 2, and now she's number 1. I did appreciate that finally. So AMC with their promos, it has been about 9 months, well before the season started, that we saw that part of the promo where she says, Daryl Dixon, I thought you were dead. And we finally saw it. She helps them. I think she helps them. Why do you think she helps Daryl? I think out of sympathy for Laurent, the kid.
Yeah, I think it's definitely because of Laurent. And I think also maybe some guilt over what she did before. I don't know. That's what I thought.
Fair enough.
She seems to like Laurent, though. I mean, she liked him before, but I think she more cared before about his father liking her than she cared about him.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think she feels guilt about it. Yeah. But I think she likes the kid. I think she figures if she can help, she will.
Yeah.
And obviously they need their gas for the plane. So
yeah.
And that's also leads them to finding Ash, right?
Yeah. I mean, so there are no photos in the press dump of, first of all, the scene where they're fighting in the catacombs, which was really cool in a lot of ways. I mean, look, I know they shot in France a lot. I know they didn't shoot that fight scene in the catacombs. They had to recreate that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. The fight with Lasang, right? Yeah, that was cool. And then he hides him in the. Was it a fireplace? Or I don't know. It made me think of a fireplace. I don't think it was a fireplace. But.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really believe that Lasang would be down there fighting everyone. And Daryl kills like 20 guys down there using very primitive weapons, which is kind of the whole show. Lasang's down there. They had this fight. It's kind of all whatever, but it was kind of cool being down there in the catacombs. We also
very cool.
We also have this separate thing where Daryl and Carol are trying to find Ash.
And they get stuck in this car.
That was kind of cool, right? All
of them jumping on the car.
I mean, Ash getting stuck in the car was a kind of a rookie move, but I think it's been set up that Ash is kind of a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Ash, I thought I had a picture of Ash, but I don't. Oh, here he is. Ash, some guys come and try to take the plane. He flees, he gets stuck in the car. I think that when I watched it, I was like, don't get in the car, don't get in the car. The zombies will get you, right? Like,
Yeah, and then you can't get out. Yeah, but it definitely was a cool scene, though. I agree with that.
It's a cool scene. And there was that whole thing also where Daryl's like, oh, they're so lucky that they have the rifle that shoots the zombie adrenaline. And
I didn't quite understand how shooting one of them was going to make them all leave.
So that's a callback to season 1 of the show where the zombie serum, after it's not working, like Janae's trying to make the serum, but it made their head explode after like 12 seconds. And remember when Daryl was in that fighting pit in season 1?
Yeah.
And so they had this like serum they were shooting, and it made the zombies so aggressive that they would actually fight another zombie, which has never been heard of before, right? Like zombies don't fight other zombies.
Yeah,
but it made the zombies so aggressive so he happened to get into
so they can use one to take out the other ones, basically.
Yeah. So he's lucky that Janae's people are very like loose with it. Well, I guess they found that gun inside Maison Mare when they were in there, right? I don't know. But anyway, that's how he shoots that. He has that serum and he shoots them, and that's why all their heads explode and they kill each other.
Yeah. He only has like one shot though, right? I'm trying to remember. I think he
had like 2 shots. Maybe or 2 shots.
Yeah, it's too bad he couldn't just shoot them all, but I guess it was enough to get him away.
It was like all right, but I think I kind of preferred the little part of this. I mean, the whole thing with Losang and all them. Losang. All right, so we had a villain killed last week, a villain killed this week. We're essentially almost out of villains, and right now they got to get on the plane, so they got to find Ash. I kind of preferred the part of the episode that was about Carol having to tell Ash.
Yeah. And she clearly feels bad, but I mean, she kind of caused it. So,
yeah, I mean, how do you feel about her talk, like her whole and Daryl's? I thought of you, Jamie, because Daryl's like, "What'd you tell him? Like, I'm your brother?" And she's like, no. And I was like, oh my God, Jamie has said that like 3 times. And she just said he's her brother.
Yeah, I said that from the beginning. I think that if she had said, regardless of what she said, if she had made it like she was looking for 2 people and made one of them to be Daryl, then she could have been like, well, my daughter's dead, but Daryl's here. And at least it would have seemed like she did what she said in case she needed Ash again. So I think that was a missed opportunity that Carol... Yeah, so now she has to come clean, and you feel kind of bad for him.
And she doesn't always come clean, but she's like, by the way, I like arranged my lie to appeal to your weakness.
Yeah, I know. That makes it even worse.
Yeah, it was bad.
It's kind of like sometimes it's good when you tell somebody the truth, but when you tell them the truth after lying that bad, maybe you didn't need to tell them all the truth.
I mean, I think she felt bad. I don't know if she felt bad enough, right? Like she felt bad, but I don't know if Carol really feels bad about using people.
I don't know that she does completely. Like, I agree with you. I think she felt bad, but maybe not as bad as she should have felt. But to be fair, to live in this world, they kind of have to screw people over. I mean, that's why they're still alive.
You're right. That's fair.
I mean, Daryl maybe less so. Daryl was more altruistic, I guess, than Carol. But I mean, that's how Carol survived. She's kind of this chameleon that lies and makes people think she's this nice person when she's not. And not that she, was mean to Ash or did something. Well, I mean, it's not good, but you know what I mean? She didn't try to hurt him or anything, but it's still kind of the same thing. She's pretending to be something she's not in order to get what she wants. And that's how she survived.
I mean, I think you're absolutely 100% right, Jamie. You said it perfectly. That's how she survives. I mean, she also has the ability to be a badass and be violent when she has to, but
But she doesn't unless she has to.
Yep. And she's better at that whole sneaky thing. And we talked earlier about how the best lie has an element of truth, and she did that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's dealt, and then we talked before about how she did at least deal a little bit with her daughter in this season.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of brought her back up, which, I mean, it would have been nice maybe if there could have been more exploration on it in the original show. But I get that there wasn't. I mean, the problem with the original Walking Dead is the damn ensemble was so big they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So they can kind of explore that. And I mean, she would still have issue with missing her daughter. It's not going to go away. So,
I mean, I did appreciate that Ash was like, I'm not forgiving you. Like, you can say whatever, but I'm not forgiving you. And then, of course, there's the end of the episode where he's like, oh, by the way, 4 people can never fit in this plane. And not they can't fit, but we can't fly. And by the way, didn't you and I talk about that like 4 weeks ago?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I didn't know what to say to you. And I'm just like, yep, it's not going to fit that many, probably.
Like, there's no way they can all, like,
yeah, it's a little plane. It's kind of
like Ash and Carol fly over. And now Carol's like, oh, by the way, take these 2, like, one grown man, one half grown man. And he's like, what? There's no way. And it's not even about like the fuel. He's like, we just can't do it. Right.
Yeah.
I think that we are going to, I don't know, but I think that next week we're going to see like, you go, no, you go, no, you go, no, I'll go. And that's how season 3 is already announced to be shot in Spain. And maybe certain people fly home and other people have to walk home, and we don't know who they're going to be, but
yeah, you're right. I mean, we know they're not, all 4 of them aren't going to get in there and go to the United States.
Yes, right, but the one who goes is going to be Ash. Ash is going to go.
Well, it's his plane.
Well, he's the only guy who fly it. So,
yeah.
All right. So one more episode left next week. We'll see about it.
Yeah, at least I can at least say this. I at least appreciate that they didn't have it that like Ash died and like Daryl's like learning how to fly the plane or something.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Well, because in the Walking Dead universe, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. So
in Fear the Walking Dead, they flew both a plane and a hot air balloon, and they had no fucking clue when they just did it. You're right. And they also learned how to refine oil. Yes, you're right.
So yeah, I like that they need Ash to fly it. I think that is a little more realistic.
All right, so Teacup.
Sure.
Let's talk about Teacup. Teacup. All right, so this was episodes 3. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 and 6 this week. I don't know, Jamie, if you recall what these episodes are about, but I can fill you in.
Yeah, go ahead.
These episodes, remember when we left off, James was trapped in the basement with who we learn as Travis. And that's where we left off last week, where Scott Speedman, James, is trapped, and Travis is like, let me learn if I should like shoot your head off. And so this is where we learn how Travis, who's this like young guy, meets McNabb in the bar. With the whole flashback about how, like, it kind of surprised me that we're going to have a whole flashback. And we learn how Travis, he's a bartender, he meets McNabb. McNabb starts telling him about like this whole aliens are coming and the 4th is blah blah blah, and then like he also meets Olsen. I
don't know. I liked it because I felt like it finally started to come together a bit in this one. Like it made more sense to me.
Well, I liked it because I liked getting the backstory. Especially, we get a lot of from McNabb, who seems a little cuckoo crazy, but Travis goes along with it. I really like the part where, the blue line they drew around the house in like the first episode, which he's like, don't call it a force field. It's a line. They start calling it a trap in this episode. And, there's a trap that we're having. And I started to realize, we also start learning more about the previous, there's a flashback to the attack at the neighbor's house. And I started to understand why they call it a trap. And they're trying to trap the entity inside the blue line. They're trying to trap Harbinger or Assassin inside the line. It's kind of fucked up because normal humans can't leave it, but I get it. Anyway, we learn a lot more.
You get now it's one way, right? Because last time you seemed confused that it was one way. They can go in, they can't go out.
Well, some people can go in.
If they have. Yeah,
we can go out, but only like Assassin can go out, right? We didn't really get that either. Like we haven't seen. I don't really get who goes. It's a trap to trap people inside.
I don't know how many details you've seen, so I don't want to say something I shouldn't say.
So we see a lot of backstory, but then it comes back to the part where, the kids have found McNabb, and they do bring him back to the house, and so there's this whole other thing that goes on. He's been stabbed or whatever. There's this whole thing that goes on at the ranch, but
you've seen the thing with the jar, right? I can say that without saying anything. If I'm wrong, then you can tell me no.
And then
with the jar that they found a jar.
So we saw. There's not I don't have all the pictures here, but in the previous episode, we saw that Harbinger took the kids to the jar in the woods.
Yeah,
right? And he's like, if you drink it. But in this episode, we see where a wolf licks the jar, and then the wolf goes right out and is not hurt at all.
Yeah, I don't think that any. I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure that Assassin can't go out either unless he has that. That was my understanding. Like it's in and not out.
Because Assassin isn't a human body, right? And so in the end, you can't go out if you're not in a human body, right? Mm-hmm. And so we saw the part where the wolf comes. I think it's when like Valeria, I'm not sure who's out in the woods, but people are out in the woods and they see the wolf drink it, and the wolf goes right out, and Valeria's like, he drank it all. The wolf drank it all. There's no more rainbow.
Like, screw you people. It's okay.
I did appreciate. So I gotta tell you, at first I was like, "Oh my god, we're getting a giant flashback." Like, I'm not sure how I feel about this humongous, like Travis McNabb flashback. And then I was like, "Oh, this is like they're giving us more." I really like the part where McNabb.
I like their friendship between McNabb and the kid. I don't remember the kid's name, but
Travis.
Travis, yeah.
Yeah, I like the part where it was, I like the part where it was like McNabb is kind of crazy, but Travis is like falling into his conspiracy theory, and everyone thinks they're nuts, and how was he getting sucked in? And I really like the part where, it's kind of messed up where McNabb keeps saying, "Oh, Travis, there's your intellect." Like you can really see how McNabb is flattering Travis, and it was really uncool. I felt he was really using him. I felt it was really. I really didn't trust McNabb for most of that. Remember that how he was like, "Oh, you have a superior intellect. You get it. Nobody else gets it." And Travis, who's like a young guy who works for like minimum wage and whatever, or like doesn't, not that minimum wage is a bad thing, but
yeah, I don't think he quite got maybe how dangerous it was.
He's in a small town and nobody's ever really, right? Isn't that, I felt like McNabb was grooming Travis in a way.
Well, he needed him, but yeah, I sort of see what you're saying. I liked at the beginning how they sort of started to develop a friendship. But yeah, you're right. Like I said, I don't think Travis quite realized what he was getting himself into till he couldn't get himself out of it.
I agree 100%. And I do think that McNabb was like, "Oh, here's somebody who," not that he's
naive.
McNabb is trying to find somebody who will believe him. He's a true believer, but
yeah.
It did feel a little grooming. It felt a little, except that McNabb's not lying and Andy's not lying, right? But it felt, and then they have him come live in their little place, and then Olsen shows up, and it was all very. I mean, I'm kind of not surprised that in the end, we see Travis where he was last week, where he's like, I don't know what to do. I have no idea. And he kills himself, right? He doesn't know what to do.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, should I kill you, James? Should I not kill you? Should I kill you? Should I not kill you? And he killed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it kind of felt like there was no way out. I mean, he ended up trapped like everybody else, and his,
Well, he also was, I don't have a picture of it, but he also was like coughing blood. Like,
I was going to say, he was dying anyway, I think.
He had breathed, whatever. I mean, another part of this episode that I kind of appreciated, and Jamie, I don't mean to overtalk you, but you've watched it all. I'm kind of reminding you about this whole part where there was like this, not that part, sorry, wrong picture, but this flashback to the attack on the neighbor's house, where we already saw James and Ruben show up there last week, and the neighbors are all dead. Dogs are barking.
We're seeing it from the other point of view now.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of.
So I said I feel like it came together. I like that they showed this side of it, because we're like kind of playing catch up, but it like finally sort of makes sense.
Yeah, it was right? Like we saw how Olsen came to be. I feel like I want to call it the infection, but it's not. It's an alien, but it's an infection, right? And the whole part where we saw this whole flashback where they set up the trap, and the trap is the tree that weirdo tree that Ruben got obsessed with, and we like set up the pool, and like all this that happened was pretty.
Okay, so you've seen the pool. Do you get the gas masks now then?
No, I still don't get the gas mask, but I get the part where they set up this little pool. They set this little pool that nothing ever happens.
Oh, they didn't. Okay.
But at the very end, Ruben finds McNabb's book. Like, they save McNabb, right? And they bring him back to the ranch, and they find what's this kid's name? The boy, I forget his name, but he finds McNabb. Nicholas. He finds McNabb's book, and he's reading it, and he says, "Listen, there's one way to save." This is, they don't know who they don't know where assassin could be, Ellen, whoever. And he says, Nicholas says, "Look, I found this book, and it has all these answers in it. If we find assassin, the only way to get him out is to drown the person." And then I was like, "Oh, that's why the pool was there."
Yeah.
Flashback, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of where it ends, where he says you can drown. Okay. So there's this whole other part where, is it grandma, right? Is it Ellen, grandma?
Yeah, there's definitely, the back, not the back half, but the back end of this, there's a lot of kind of like, who is it?
I mean, it definitely was Ellen.
I don't like that. Yeah. But is it now? We don't know.
I mean, and you know why we don't know? Because of stupid Valeria, who's supposed to watch the door. Like her husband says, watch the door. And she turns around, and you see Ellen go right behind her into the barn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the idea is too that they can be in them and they can be not aware of it, I guess, or at least that's what they theorize. Because I had thought that, like, if it was in, at least from the beginning watching it, I had thought that if it was in them, they knew it. But it seems like after, maybe they don't necessarily know it, or that it can hide. I don't know. I wasn't sure on that.
I don't know, because, like, here's this part where, finally,
well, she says it. She could just be lying too. I don't know.
Yeah, but the mother, Maggie, is finally really talking to Harbinger and getting it. And Harbinger is like, I think we've seen, like, Harbinger can cede control to Arlo. Like, Arlo and Harbinger go back and forth between who's in charge, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that Assassin does that also? Or do you think Assassin would never do it? Because, like, why would Assassin let
I don't know. That's where it didn't exactly explain. Like, is she lying and saying it's not in her anymore, or could he be hiding? That's why I was saying, like, I wasn't quite sure if
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure.
Did do that.
It could be still in her, but she's trying to say it's not in her because she's.
That's why I said she could just be lying, and it had, that she does know. I don't know.
But I do feel like Harbinger, like it's so obvious when Harbinger is in control and when Arlo's in control. There's a clear control thing, right? I don't know if Assassin ever lets control go.
Yeah, I don't know. But see, that's where I wasn't sure. And that's why I'm saying I thought maybe he could hide, like let them have control, not let them know he was there, but I wasn't entirely sure on that. And I remember not being sure. So
I mean, I do think
you don't know who it's in. So
I do think there was this thing where Olsen and McNabb and Travis were all in the car together, and Travis was singing this song. Like Travis was singing this song that was like some sort of like, I don't know if it was like a Neil Young song or whatever, but Travis singing the song. And if you remember, like a week ago when Olsen was tied to the barn, up in the barn for that shot, he was singing that song. And so remember he sang that song right before he was killed?
Yeah.
And so I feel like if we see Ellen singing that song, we're going to like she's Assassin should be killed. I feel like that song might come around again. I don't know. There's only 1 hour left. I might be reading more into it than I can. But
I don't know. I can't remember how many times we heard the song, so I can't answer that anyway.
I mean, I do feel like this whole McNabb thing where he was like, it's aliens and, he talked about like meteors and aliens, whatever. I think it's really clear now that it's about aliens, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no question it's aliens.
Yeah.
And
I would agree at this point.
And there are two kinds of aliens. I mean, it's kind of much like X-Files. There are two kinds of aliens, the good aliens and the bad aliens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And if a good alien comes to Earth, the bad alien comes to kill him. It's just like the alien bounty hunters, right? Not just like, but
the alien bounty hunters and the clones or whatever. No, yeah, but you're kind of right. Yeah, now that I think about it, you are kind of right.
Yeah, but I think
they're after the good aliens. So
I think my favorite part was when they reconstructed the blue line, where I thought the blue line was like when we originally saw McNabb come around in the second episode or whatever, right? And he draws the blue line. He's like, "Don't cross the blue line," and I thought like it was
arbitrary.
I thought it was like a boundary that was for safety. Like, is it for your safety, for whatever? And now it's clear that it's a trap. Like they think the assassin's on your property. It's a trap.
Yeah, that's why I said they can't get back across it, and they're trying to catch the bad alien is kind of the point. So
yeah, and where I thought maybe he was like, stay in here because if you go outside, like whatever I might have thought the blue line. I mean, it was always a boundary. It was always, but it's a trap for the alien.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not the line itself that's the trap, though. I mean, they're drawing where it's at, right? I mean, that's.
Yes, because
that's how I took it.
Yeah, because they don't have the ability to create a line. Like they're just normal humans.
Right. It's just saying this is where it's at. Don't go past it, or you're going to be ripped into pieces.
I mean, so it's still unclear how they know where it is because they're just normal humans. Like this episode presents them as normal humans who are sort of clued into a conspiracy, to a problem, to whatever. Like they don't have resources to create they're still just drawing a line. But
But I mean, even for them, I'm sure it's helpful because they got to remember where it's at so they don't go over.
I guess what I like is the part that it's not a trap for them. It's a trap for this bad entity that's among them.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's trapping everybody there. But no, the point of it is definitely for the alien, not for
and it's sort of like, I'm sorry you got trapped inside with it, but that's just life. Sorry. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like those two alien factions are trying to, get rid of each other. So
well, yeah. I mean, Arlo says like I mean, Arlo basically says there are two alien factions that are fighting it out on our planet, and we just don't really know it. And it's not clear what the end game is yet, but.
Yep. And I just want to say we apparently have a viewer on Twitch. I don't even remember if I know how to use Twitch. But thank you for a person who came to Twitch. I'm not sure how you found it, but I'm glad you found it. We've been trying to connect it to all the social medias, but we're streaming through StreamYard, so we can't actually interact. I mean, well, I guess the comments, it should interact with Twitch, YouTube, everything, I guess. Should be anyway. But I do not know a lot about Twitch yet.
Well, it's a gaming thing. So, all right. So I think we're done with this.
Yeah, I think we're done with Teacup. Do you like it better now?
I like it better. I think that it took a good turn in episodes 5 and 6 here, where I was like, oh, this mystery is going in a direction that's kind of cool. Like it went away from some of the early on sort of tropey things like animals going crazy and whatever. I kind of
once you sort of understand what's going on, I feel like it makes more sense and it kind of connects a little better.
Yeah, I like where it went. Do I think there's a second season in it? I don't know. Let's see what happens in the next 2. We got 2 more episodes next week. Let's see where it goes. But yeah, I like it better.
Yeah.
So instead of under the dome, it's inside the circle.
Yes, it kind of is. Yeah.
Yeah, but Under the Dome kind of sucked. If I remember rightly, we didn't like
Under the Dome was awful. I stopped watching it. It was so bad.
It was
Stephen King had his name taken off of it.
Yeah. I mean, it had some good things, but most of the part it kind of went downhill. Where this is pretty good. So, all right, what else do we have? Before, you said you watched part of Before.
I watched the first episodes of Before today, Jamie. Before, it's the show where it stars Robin. It's on Apple TV. Robin Williams is the star of it, right?
Robin Williams.
No. What's that guy's name?
Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal. I get that mixed. Robin Williams is dead forever. Yes, Billy Crystal is a star of it. He plays like a child psychologist, and he's hooked up with this like creepy kid. I did really feel in the beginning, in episode 1, I felt like it was a ripoff of The Sixth Sense. I was like, there's no way he's seeing this. He's imagining it. The kid is not real.
That's interesting, because you said that to me, and I'm like, what? How did you get that out of it? I don't know. I did not. Yeah, I definitely didn't see it that way.
To me, the first episode was a bunch of creepy vignettes without a real story to it. And then it became this thing about this creepy kid who I'm like, is that kid even real? Does he see that? I really felt like he wasn't even, Billy Crystal wasn't even really seeing anything, that was a Sixth Sense kind of thing where he, and then it started to come together a little more. I'm not in love with it. I'll watch another episode and see where it goes. But it's very much, I don't know. I feel like it's a bunch of typical horror things that are strung together. He's seeing things. His wife committed suicide. Now he sees things. Now he's, is he imagining it? The kid speaks in a language that he couldn't possibly know, which is 17th century Dutch. I was convinced.
Yeah, it does have some tropes, but I don't know. I think it's
all tropes. The whole show is tropes. There's no original idea. It's all tropes so far, right?
I see how you see that at the beginning. You got to remember, I watched more than
I've seen 2 episodes. It's trope after trope after trope. I'm very worried about the dog. I'm very worried about that dog, but
oh God, I'm worried about that dog. It's a cute little doggy. Don't touch the doggy. But it's. I think it's got good character development, and it's got sort of a.
Really?
I think, and I haven't finished it yet, but it's got
right
sort
now.
of like supernatural and twist.
Right now, the kid in episode 2, the kid has said like 3 lines, and he screamed like 3 times. The child has no development. Billy Crystal is all like, my wife committed suicide, and I might be having like. I'm like, does he have Alzheimer's? Is he possessed? Is he? I don't know. It's all over the place.
I think it starts to come together a little more.
All right. Well, maybe that's the point. That the first episodes are.
Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of weird at the beginning, and it doesn't really. Yeah, it starts to make more sense as you go. And
don't get me wrong. I appreciate Billy Crystal playing a dramatic role, which he's done some in his career, but not all in his career. And he's, you know, an older character. But in the first 2 episodes, it's like a typical like creepy kid story.
Yeah, kind of. At the beginning, it is. Yeah, a little bit.
We'll see.
I see what you mean, but I don't know. I liked it. I want to finish it. I just haven't had time to.
They're short
I haven't
episodes.
seen it
The
all.
episodes are like 30 to 45 minutes. They're very
Yeah,
short.
they're very short,
Yeah.
so you can knock them out once they're available and see it. But
Right,
yeah,
so-
I don't know. I liked it, and I talked to Billy Crystal and
Ooh, that's cool.
Jacoby, who plays the kid.
Oh, really? Because you talked to the
Yep.
kid?
Yeah, they were. It was a paired interview with both of them.
Oh, that's unusual. A lot of times, like young actors don't do interviews, but like that.
Yeah,
All right.
kid's British. I did not expect that. He does a good job, getting rid of. Well, not getting rid of, changing his accent, I should say.
And he speaks 17th century Dutch. Yeah.
Well, but yeah, there's that too. But I mean, you will get to hear him talk. And I did not know that, so he did a good job with that at any rate. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we sign out tonight, can I tell you guys the reason I'm late? You know, I told you I went to the movies. I went to see Conclave.
Okay.
It's a great movie. I don't know if you both would love it, but it's about like the Pope dies, and the cardinals all have to come together at a conclave in Rome to elect a new pope. It's basically a political thriller. If you consider that the Pope, electing a Pope is one of the most secretive things that ever happens in the world, and it's a very political position. It was a really good movie about the political things going on electing a new Pope. And I think that it has fantastic photography, costuming. It's going to be probably nominated for a bunch of Oscars, at the very least for all the arts. It was gorgeous to look at. And it has a twist ending.
All right.
That I never saw coming. So, all right.
I don't know that I probably won't see that unless it's like
I think like a movie with like a bunch of men over 60 talking and talking and talking is probably not your jam, Jamie, and I get it.
Yeah, probably not.
Or mine.
Did you guys ever see Caddo Lake? Did you ever watch it yet?
Nope.
Yeah.
Watch it. It's good. It's really
You
good.
know, I was when I went to Vegas, I watched a bunch of stuff on the plane. And I watched Trap, which was really good. It wasn't your typical M. Night Shyamalan movie. There was no twist. It was straightforward, but it was pretty good. I'm enjoying Josh Hartnett's comeback tour.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I keep seeing Caddo Lake on Max, and I'm like, what is this?
Watch it. You'll like it. Trust me.
All right.
It's like it's not what you expect it to be. It's really
Like
good.
I read the synopsis, and I was just like, eh.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't do it justice. It's like sort of sci-fi. I don't want to tell you what happens, but you'll like it.
Don't tell.
If you like weird stuff like what we cover, you'll like it. People like it.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
Maybe I'll check it out then.
I'm trying to see what else. I'm waiting to see Arcane. That doesn't come out till November. I told you I was doing the interview. I watched all of the first season. Sorry, what?
I said it's almost November, Jamie.
Yeah, no, I know, but I don't have a date. If it doesn't have a date, I'm guessing it's probably later in November.
Yeah, it's November. I want to say 16th.
Oh, well, maybe it's not in the press release. Anyway, it's not in the email. It doesn't have an exact date. But anyway, I watched the whole first season of it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. I mean, it's interesting too, because I did not realize until I started like researching it for the interview that the game, I guess, doesn't really have a story. It's just like battles in the actual game.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So, the whole thing's kind of written, but yeah, I really liked it. It's got a cool, like kind of a 3D 2D animation. It's kind of got both because it sort of looks like a graphic novel. So that's out. Yeah. I'm trying to see what else. I know you guys don't care. I don't like it, but I do want to see Venom.
Yeah, I don't care.
I enjoyed the. I think they're funny. I mean, it's not regular Marvel, but
It's not Marvel. It's Sony.
well, the movie isn't Marvel. The story's Marvel. Comes from Marvel. You know what I mean? It's not a Marvel. It's a Sony Marvel.
I get it.
But yeah,
All right. Well, time to wrap up the show, I think.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything. Thank you everybody who joined us. Please, if you haven't, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And
and check out Sci-fi. Check out Scifivision.com is where all the interviews are.
Yes, and you can also find this stuff on our YouTube channel as well. But if you haven't checked the stuff out, we still have more from coverage coming. And of course, like I said, Elizabeth is coming on the 26th next month. And I think that Julie B. Deep Dives, and I think we're probably going to do another deep dive for From on Sunday. I don't know, Karen, whether you're going to listen again, but I think we're going to. And we'll make sure there's no flash of porn this time. That was so bad.
Yeah. I got to work the NFL game on Sunday, but I might be there later.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. The thing is, when we set up to do it, I told her that I didn't know how long we could go because she's done ones for 8 hours. I couldn't do that. I don't think I could sit here that long. But props to her. She's good at it. But we ended up going close to 4 hours. I did not expect that to happen. That's for sure. So we found lots to talk about, and we had a lot of really great people in the chat, including you. You gave us lots of stuff too, so thank you. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And that, of course, will be after the live tweet on Sunday. But yeah, the only other thing, like I said, I am talking to the woman who plays Fatima tomorrow, Pega. So if you have any questions for her, you can hit me up on Twitter with that. Although that interview may not be out till after the finale, because I might have some questions about the finale. We'll see.
All right. So next week we'll come back and we have, I think next week is the last episode of Daryl Dixon, right? And it will also be the end of Teacup. Well, the last two episodes of Teacup.
Yeah, so we'll do both season finales of those.
And we'll have from an Agatha, and maybe we'll pick up some new stuff in the next month or so.
The one thing I did want to mention this one show, and I know that I mentioned this before. I'm looking up the exact name because I always call it the wrong thing. The show that Peter Capaldi's in, The Devil's Hour. Season 2 is out. I still haven't gotten a chance to see season 2, but season 1 was awesome. And it's sci-fi sort of. I think you guys would like it a lot if you watched it. That's on Prime. Yeah, that's out. So that's something good. Trying to think what's coming. There's a Cruel Intentions series coming.
There is,
for a while.
Not revealed. So we'll be waiting for our other stuff like Silo will be back, and in November we'll have a look back.
Silo's back in like less than 3 weeks.
Yeah, the other thing that's coming out is Cross, which is based on the Alex Cross books. I know it's not sci-fi, but it's very good. I did the book, and that's fun.
Let's wrap it up, you guys. We've been on here a long time.
I'm wrapped.
All right. Well, thank you everybody who came and listened. We appreciate it. I know we got some people that hung around here after From this time, so that was great. So we appreciate that. And we'll be back next Tuesday at 9. That's our normal time. So join us then.
Yep. All right. Bye.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Good night, ladies. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Especially to me babbling in the beginning of the show when I was by myself.
Better than I did on Sunday. All right. Good night.
All right. Good night.